Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Pika Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Ash Becomes Youngest Trainer. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. A tiny body sat curled up against a tree, the rough bark digging into the sensitive skin of the child. Small teardrops made their way down scarred cheeks and fell with a soft splat onto tanned clenched fists. Stupid Gary. Just because I don't know as much about Pokemon doesn't mean I'm stupid. I've just had no one teach me. He has his grandpa. For as long as Ash could remember, Gary Oak had always been a bully to him. Since Ash was younger, Gary would find ways to poke fun at Ash and humiliate him in some way. Ash could remember every word Gary has ever said to him. Since starting trainer school, Gary would purposely call Ash out on difficult questions that the students wouldn't be learning until near graduation. And while Ash might know the answers to a lot of Gary's questions, he could never answer because his mom taught him to hide his knowledge and strength so that others would underestimate him. Sniffling, Ash looked up when he heard a twig snap in the dewy clearing he was in. Amber eyes lock with black as Ash curiously eyes the small yellow Pokemon. It was tiny with triangular-shaped ears, a tiny black crooked tail, and small black tuft around its neck. Hello? Piku? Being able to understand Pokemon was a gift Ash has had his entire life. A gift his mom taught him to guard jealously. His mother had explained the dangers that Ash might be put in if his gift was ever found out. Scientists could take him away to do studying on his brain if they thought it would help them to come closer towards understand Pokemon. I'm sorry Piku, if I'm in your home. I just had to get away from all the mean kids at my school and I didn't feel like going home yet. What happened? Piku moved closer to the boy, cuddling his small form into the warm lap of the ebony-haired child. This boy named Gary always picks on me because he thinks I don't know as much about Pokemon as him. Piku titled its head to the side cutely, small black eyes widening in shock. You can understand me? Giving the Piku a watery smile, Ash shrugs. I have been able to understand Pokemon all my life. Then why don't you just tell that to this Gary kid? Piku asks confused. Ash sighs and looks up towards the slowly darkening sky. My mom told me I could never tell anyone. She thinks if they knew then they would do something bad to me. Piku's ears lower in sadness for the boy. Piku knew how it felt to feel outcasted. His own family had abandoned him, deeming him too weak compared to the rest of the litter. It's okay human, I'll be your friend. Seeing the honesty shining in the small electric mouse's eyes, Ash couldn't help but hug the tiny body closer to himself. You're my first friend Piku. I promise I will be the bestest friend you have ever had. I just know we will be friends forever. And as Ash sat underneath the sprawling pine tree petting the small electric mouse, he would soon realize that he had made the promise of a lifetime. Walking through the front door of his small home, with Piku riding faithfully on his shoulder, Ash was immediately attacked. Ash Ketchum. Where have you been, mister? I have been worried sick. Your teacher said you left school with the rest of your year but no one had seen you after that. Just what do you have to say for yourself, mister? Delia Ketchum demanded, grabbing her son by his shoulders and checking him for injuries. Finally noticing the small Pokemon with her son, Delia continued her rant. And why do you have a Piku with you? Staring down at his tennis shoe-clad feet, Ash let out a small sigh. I was walking with the other kids heading home when stupid Gary started making fun of me again. I remembered that you said I should hide what I know from him, but he kept being mean and making fun of me so I ran off and hid in the woods. While I was out there this Piku found me. We talked for a while and decided to become friends. Delia felt sorrow grip her chest as she pulled her tiny son into her arms, embracing him in a hug. I know it seems hard right now baby, but I promise that it will all get better in the future. Nudging him back to arm's reach, Delia placed a small kiss on Ash's brow. You are mommy's smart boy and you will do me proud. Standing up straight, Delia placed a delicate hand on Ash's shoulder. Smiling at the young Piku who was cuddled next to her son's cheek. Now, I am going to start dinner and you are going to help me make some food for your new friend here. Every good aspiring young trainer needs to know how to properly make food for their Pokemon. Beaming at his mother, Ash gave her a quick hug before scurrying into the kitchen. His mommy was a great cook and he would get to learn how to take care of his new friend. Hurry up mommy. Delia followed behind, chucking softly. Ash sat kneeling in the garden next to his mother. He had only had Piku with him for a few weeks, but Delia had already started teaching the duo everything they would need for when they finally started their journey. She had no doubts in her mind the small electric mouse would be going on Ash's journey with him. Now, Delia began, holding up a small blueberry. This is an oran berry and can be used when you or your Pokemon are feeling weak. It will help you regain some of your health back so that you have more time to make it to a Pokemon Center. Piku and Ash both nodded, staring intently at the blueberry in her fingers, neither writing down what she was saying. Piku because he doesn't know how to write, and Ash because his eidetic memory allows him to remember everything that he learns. Smiling at her two-star pupils, Delia continues to pick up berries and explain their properties to her two small listeners. Standing on a small wooden stool in his mother's brightly lit kitchen, Ash was stirring the orange mixture in the mixing bowl. His tiny tongue was sticking out as he tried to make sure every piece was properly mushy for when he and Piku rounded them into small pellets to bake. Delia stood with her hip pressed against her blue countertop, watching her little boy and his companion concentrate on making Piku's food. Ever since Delia had showed Ash how to make it, he was very adamant about being the only one who cooked Piku's food. The duo had become inspirable in the year since they had met. They completed each other. When Ash was feeling down from the bullies in school, Piku would be there to help lift his spirits. And when Piku was feeling weak after battling one of her lower-level Pokemon, Ash was there to comfort Piku and let him know that they were still training. That they would get stronger together. Watching her two babies roll the mush into little round pellets on her countertop together, Delia couldn't help but feel like the two meeting was fate. Ash stood in his backyard with Piku in a battle position in front of him. It has been 2 years since the duo had met and they had become inseparable. Instead of staying home when Ash went to trainer's school, Piku would hide in Ash's hoodie so he could go with him. Ash has become a different person since meeting Piku. Where once he was timid and took to heart everything his bullies would say about him, now he let it wash off of him like water off of a Psyduck. Ash would rent numerous books from the library in order to study everything he would need to know in order to be a good trainer for Piku in the future. While he couldn't officially catch Piku until he was 10, and got his own Pokeballs, and was considered a real trainer, it didn't stop him from helping his little friend get stronger. Piku used Quick Attack. Ash yelled to the tiny mouse Pokemon, shouting in triumph when Piku hit the small bird Pokemon. Delia watched the mock battle through the window. The night Ash had come home with Piku was eye-opening to her. She didn't realize how lonely her little boy was until she saw how much he clung to the small Pokemon, and vice versa. Ever since that night Ash went out of his way to learn from her and read all kinds of different books on Pokemon he thought might be useful in the future. She knew he was going to become a great trainer one day, and that the small Piku would be by his side every step of the way. Humming to herself as she continued to wash the dishes, Delia smiled as Piku and Ash soundly beat her Pidgey. Samuel Oak watched a 9-year-old Ash carefully tend to the injured Rattata in his lab. On his 8th birthday he had started volunteering around the lab, wanting to learn how to care for Pokemon for when he started his own journey. Ash was remarkably amazing at the job. Pokemon tended to flock to him, instantly trusting him. It was astounding how the small boy seemed to soak everything up. It had come as no surprise when he had discovered Ash had an eidetic memory. The boy was arguably the smartest kid that Oak had ever met, not that he would have known it by the way his grandson had talked about him. It turns out that Ash had always had a problem with being shy. While the other kids would struggle with their homework, Ash would breeze through it, but he didn't want to flaunt his knowledge like his errant grandson because Ash was taught by Delia that it was better to hide your strengths so that people would underestimate you. Samuel smiles as he watches the small Piku sit beside his trainer, carefully watching everything he did. It was painfully obvious that those two would be partners for life. And if he properly guessed it, those two would be the ones to save him in the future, or past depending on how you looked at it. With a soft smile, he walked over to Ash and helped explain in better depth what to do. Ash sat on the shoreline with a small fishing pole beside him. The water was too rough today to get any fishing done, so Ash decided to watch the small Magikarp swim down the river. Smiling, Ash turned to say something to Piku only to notice he was no longer sitting next to him. Looking around, Ash was finally able to spot Piku on a branch high above the river. "Piku! What are you doing?" Ash yelled, hoping Piku could hear him. Piku, inching towards the end of the branch where a giant apple was dangling off, peeks down at his friend. "I'm trying to get this apple. It's the biggest one I have ever seen. Be careful. I don't want you to fall." However, no sooner than those words left Ash's mouth, Piku overbalanced, sending him into the rushing river below him. Watching his small friend struggle with the waves, Ash jumped in after him, pulling the small body upwards before kicking them both to the shoreline and out of the water. "Piku? Piku, are you alright?" Piku's small black eyes look up into Ash's large amber ones, seeing the love and concern there. Piku feels a strong surge of love rip through his own body before he starts glowing. Ash watches wide-eyed as his friend evolves from a Piku into a strong Pikachu. It was the night before Ash turned 10 and he was lying awake beside Pikachu. His mother had been ecstatic when she found out he had evolved, then she started her worrying over the two of them. Not letting them go to bed until she had stuffed them with hot chocolate and forcing them to take a hot bath. I can't wait till tomorrow, Pikachu. After 5 years together we finally get to start on our journey. Ash whispers excitedly to his partner. I know. Pikachu whispers. Ash rolls over onto his side before eyeing his friend worriedly. What's wrong, Pikachu? I thought that you would be more excited. It's tradition that Professor Oak give a Pokemon to every new trainer. Are you going to forget about me? Ash stares at Pikachu in shock before his eyes soften. Reaching out, Ash runs his hand over Pikachu's soft ears. Of course not, buddy, I could never forget about you. Not that you'd let me anyways. Pikachu sighs in relief, knowing his fears were proven misguided, before grinning. Of course not, I would have to shock you if you tried. The duo giggles before sleep finally got to them, sending them off into the waiting arms of Cresselia. Waking up the next morning to Pikachu enthusiastically jumping on his stomach was not the way he expected to be woken up. Especially because it was still semi-dark outside. Why did you wake me up so early, buddy? Ash looks at his Voltorb alarm clock. It's only 5:30. Yes, but you want to get a head start on Gary, right? Plus if we get there first we can leave early and get to training. Ash smiles at Pikachu's rant before nodding along. Okay, let me shower and get dressed. The electric mouse nods happily. After showering and getting everything ready, Ash and Pikachu make their way towards Professor Oak's, with Pikachu riding faithfully on Ash's shoulder. Coming to a halt in front of the large steel doors, Ash shares an excited look with Pikachu, before pushing them open. Professor, we're here. Both Ash and Pikachu shout at the same time. Professor Oak came out from a side room on the left, smiling happily at seeing the boy he saw as his own. Professor Oak checks his small watch, raising an eyebrow when he notices the time. Why hello Ash, you're here early. Pikachu convinced. Me, it would be better if we got here first. Ash replies sheepishly, rubbing a hand against the nape of his neck. Oak nods his head. A very wise Pikachu indeed. Oak gestures towards the room he had left. Follow me. Walking behind the Professor, Ash and Pikachu enter a room that has 3 Pokeballs sitting on a table. Professor Oak, going to a different table, rummages around in the drawers gathering certain items before making his way back to the duo. While I know that you are unlikely to ever keep Pikachu in a Pokeball, it is very important that you at least catch him. By doing so it will prevent other trainers from taking him for themselves. Ash nods, taking the offered Pokeball and tapping it lightly against his friend's head. Pikachu was SCKED into the ball instantly, and it clicked in a second to show a successful capture. Ash quickly released his starter and tucked the Pokeball into a hidden pocket in his backpack. Professor Oak smiles softly at the pair before holding out a Pokédex and 6 Pokeballs. This is a Pokédex. You will use it to record information on all the Pokemon you encounter. It was also scan Pokemon to allow you to know the moves it knows along with its ability and level. The Pokeballs are my gift to you. Ash happily took the offered items and placed them on his person. I have one more gift for you. It is customary for a professor to give a new trainer a Pokemon. While you already have Pikachu and I am sure you would rather leave the 3 starters for the other trainers, I have a Pokemon that I caught recently. At first I was going to give it to Gary, but you have proven to be more responsible than him when it comes to caring for Pokemon. So here is its Pokeball. Ash took the offered Pokeball and lightly threw it into the air, awestruck when a small silver fox-like Pokemon with a light purplish mane came out. Taking out his Pokédex, Ash scanned the Pokemon. Eevee. A rare Pokemon that adapts to harsh environments by taking on different evolutionary forms. Level 10. Moves: Scratch, Sand Attack, Tackle, Double Team. Wow, that's so cool, Professor, thank you so much. Ash hugs the man that he saw as a grandpa before leaning down and petting the small Pokemon. A shiny, are you sure you want to give it to me? Professor Oak patted Ash's spiky locks. Of course, Ash, happy birthday. Ash smiles brightly at the professor before turning his attention to the small Pokemon. Hello, my name is Ash and I'm going to be your new trainer. Pikachu hopped off of Ash's shoulder and greeted the new addition. And I am Pikachu. The Eevee pet its head to the side. I am Eevee, it is a pleasure to meet you. Smiling, Ash picks up the small Eevee and turns to the professor. I'm going to head out to the woods on Route 1. I want to get my team trained up some and used to each other before we start taking on gym leaders. Professor Oak nodded his head. That is very wise and mature, Ash. Don't forget to call me and your mother occasionally. Ash smiles a perfect white smile at him. No problem, Professor. Samuel watched as Ash left the lab, smiling to himself. Ash was going to be a Pokemon master one day, and he already knew he was going to leave his own grandson in the dust. Ash cared for Pokemon empathetically, unlike Gary. His ability to speak to Pokemon only helped that goal. After Ash had visited his mom, and got certain supplies he knew his Pokemon would hate, he made his way into the forest en route. Sitting his 2 new Pokemon down, he gave them a serious look. Okay guys, this is where we start getting serious. No more mock fights Pikachu, this is going to be some for real intense training. And Eevee, I know you have only known me a few hours but I promise to never push you past your limits. We are going to become the strongest team and defeat all the trainers we come across, sound good? Both Pikachu and Eevee answered in the affirmative. Good, now, Ash reaches into his bag pulling out 2 sets of weights. I am going to put these weights on each of your paws, by having these strapped to you it will help your endurance rise. The 2 Pokemon nod and Ash straps them on. We are going to set up a training schedule for the next month. We are going to focus on your attacks, power, speed, and endurance. By the end of this month we are going to head to Viridian City to stock up on supplies before making our way to Pewter City. On the way there is Viridian Forest, which will be another place we will stay to train before finally challenging the gym leader. Pikachu and Eevee both give each other wide-eyed looks, equally wondering what they have gotten themselves into. It had been a harsh month but the trio had made it through. I am so proud of you guys. You both have gotten so strong. Eevee, who was only a level 10 at the start of the month, quickly climbed levels until he was a formidable level 26. Pikachu, who was already at a level 21 from the 5 years of training it had, soared to a level 32. Both Pokemon had worked super hard to get to where they were, often driving themselves into exhaustion, but that was what had risen them to such levels. Ash too had trained beside his Pokemon, making their bond grow even deeper. Strolling through the woods and into Viridian City, Ash looks at his 2 Pokemon. Isn't it great to finally be here? It will be great when we finally get to Pewter City and earn our first gym badge. Pikachu said sarcastically. Yes, I can't wait to show those stupid rock types the awesome power that I have gained. Eevee exclaimed, jumping up and down on her spot on Ash's shoulder. Both Pikachu and Ash laughed at their over-enthusiastic friend. Over the month since Eevee had joined them, he had proven himself to be a tiny little spitfire. Quickly locating the Pokemon Center, Ash walks through the sliding doors making his way over to Nurse Joy. Smiling brightly at the pink-headed nurse, Ash politely asks her if she can have his Pokemon looked over. I will have them out in a jiffy. Nurse Joy said with a smile. Waving to his 2 friends, Ash sits down at a table, listening to 3 trainers talk about the thieves that had been running amok around town. And this super cool trainer with a Squirtle came and fought them off. I heard they worked for Team Rocket and they even had a talking Meowth. Well, I heard the guy had an orange-haired trainer with him and she helped to get rid of them. Well, I heard. This went on for about 30 minutes before Ash's name was called. Quickly making his way to the front of the center, and away from the gossipers, Ash laughs in joy when his 2 friends jump into his arms. They are perfectly healthy and fighting fit. Thank you, Nurse Joy. Anytime, young man. Are you competing in the Pokemon League? Ash nods enthusiastically along with his Pokemon. Yes, we have actually been training on Route 1 for the past month in order to get strong enough for the Pewter City gym. Nurse Joy smiles before gesturing to a small scanner on the desk. If you will place your Pokédex on the scanner, I will get you registered for the league. Thank you so much, Nurse Joy. Joy smiles at the young man in front of her. He genuinely seems to care for his Pokemon and he actually trained them instead of just throwing them into battle unexperienced. Watching as the ebony-haired boy walked out of the Pokemon Center with his Pikachu on one shoulder and Eevee on the other, she knew she was watching the future champion. After stopping by the Pokemart to get more items, the trio make their way into Viridian Forest. Here it is, guys, the place of our next training session. Lucky for us I only plan on staying in here a week. Pikachu looks around the dark forest. You never did tell us why you wanted us to train in here. Ah, that's a simple question. Along our journey I am sure we are going to encounter status-affecting moves, such as Stun Spore and Sleep Powder. I want you 2 to grow an immunity towards it, and if we can't do that I want us to figure out a way to neutralize the effects. Eevee and Pikachu jump off of their trainer's shoulders and onto the ground, giving Ash their best determined look. When do we start? They ask in perfect unison. It was a week when the trio were making their way out of Viridian Forest. I am never going to look at Beedrill the same way again. Eevee said, traumatized. Pikachu chuckles. But you managed to defeat a whole horde by yourself, you should feel proud. Eevee rolled her eyes. Please, you zapped a whole flock of Spearow and Fearow by yourself. You both are super powerful, let's leave it at that. Ash said, smiling. We are so not talking to you right now, you added an extra 10 pounds to our weights. Each. Ash scratches the back of his head. I'm just trying to make you stronger. Pikachu and Eevee stick their tongues out at their friend, about to come up with a retort, when a sword is suddenly pointed at Ash's throat causes them to stop in their tracks, making the 2 Pokemon to growl menacingly at the man. Are you Ash from the town of Pallet? Yes, that's me. Ash answers, his eyes narrowed. Good. I have been waiting on you for a long time. I challenge you to a Pokemon battle. Ash looks at his two Pokemon, and seeing that they were both fired up and set off, he shrugs. Okay, this will be our first real battle against a trainer. You shall lose it too, because I am Samurai and I shall not lose. Samurai picks a Pokeball from his pocket and sent it flying. Go, battle position Pinsir. Pikachu, I choose you. Ash yells. Pikachu ran in front of his trainer, cheeks sparking dangerously. Samurai laughs. A weak electric type? You know nothing, get ready to lose. Pinsir tackle. Pinsir rushes forward, but Pikachu easily dodges it. Ash's eyes roam over the Pinsir. Its battle position was weak at best. While most experienced Pinsir would hold their heads in an angle that would allow them to easily grab their opponents if they came close enough, this Pinsir did not, showing Ash that it was weak. Weak enough for him to end this quickly. Pikachu, end this. With pleasure. Pikachu speed into a quick attack, darting around till he was at Pinsir's back before releasing an iron tail between the horns on top of its head, causing it to faint instantly. No. Pinsir, return. You will be no match for my next Pokemon. Samurai threw a Pokeball. Go Metapod. Ash sweat dropped. Eevee, do you want to finish this? Of course, can't let Pikachu have all the fun. Pikachu and Eevee quickly changed places. Metapod, harden. The Metapod glistens in the sunlight. Ash tilts his head, admiring the shiny green cocoon Pokemon. Eevee tackle. Eevee quickly rushes the bug Pokemon, knocking it back and instantly KOing it. I guess that means we won. Ash says, casually calling back his Pokemon, who happily jumped onto his shoulders. Samurai glares angrily at the trainer who had bested him so effortlessly. I do not understand how I could have lost. The trainer with the many maidens said that you were the weakest trainer from the town of Pallet. Ash sighed tiredly. I am assuming you are talking about Gary. To be honest, he has always hated me and has always put me down. It's really no surprise that he would say that to you. The other trainer sighed before staring forlornly at his two Pokeballs, before giving Ash a determined stare. We will battle again, and I will win. Ash only smiled, holding out his hand, which Samurai took. I count on it. Shaking each other's hands, they parted ways. That guy was a real weird one. Pikachu said, watching the Samurai walk away. Agreed. Well, at least we won our first official Pokemon battle. Ash said enthusiastically. If we lost against him, I would be disappointed in us. Were Eevee's solemn words. The trio all nod their heads. Though Ash couldn't really blame Samurai, his Pokemon were much weaker than Ash's own. Ash was sure he would have stood more of a chance if his Metapod was a Butterfree. Look, a rainbow. That's weird, it hasn't even been raining. Ash points to the brightly shining rainbow, causing his two companions to look up as well. Looking up, the three are shocked to see a phoenix-like bird fly across the sky. Ash points his Pokédex at the golden Pokemon. Some Pokemon have yet to still be discovered. Ash smiles at his two friends. Seeing a Ho-Oh is said to bring good luck and happiness to whoever lays eyes on it. Pikachu and Eevee only look on in shock and wonder. Entering Pewter City, Ash beamed brightly at his two friends. We're here, guys. We finally made it. Pikachu patted Ash's cheek while rolling his eyes. We would have been here sooner if it wasn't for you wanting to train so DMN long. Huffing indignantly, Ash stuck his tongue out at Pikachu. Yeah, well, if I hadn't made you two train so hard, there would be no way we would stand a chance against Brock. Eevee liked her trainer's cheek sympathetically. It's okay, Ash, we understand. Pikachu is just trying to give you a hard time. Besides, I can't wait to watch him destroy some rock types. Eevee ended. Enthusiastically. Laughing, Ash made his way towards the red-roofed building marking itself as the Pokemon Center. Entering the building, Ash quickly spotted the pink-haired nurse. Hello, Nurse Joy, I was wondering if you could look over Pikachu and Eevee for me. I'm going to challenge the gym, but I want to make sure that they are in tip-top shape. Nurse Joy smiled sweetly, picking up the two Pokemon. Of course, honey, what's your name? Ash Ketchum, ma'am. Okay, Ash, you just wait right over there and I will have your Pokemon back to you in a jiff. Smiling as his two friends make their way back to be checked over, Ash sits down at a table to wait for them. Playing around with his Pokédex, Ash didn't realize a person sneak up behind him. Did I hear you say that you were challenging the gym, young man? Ash turned to look at the older man in front of him. Not that looking at him helped much in identifying him. He wore a red beanie that went over his eyes and had a large beard that took up most of his face. Yes, I am. The man snorts. You're going to lose. Ash glares at the man in front of him. And why is that? Your Pokemon are still in their cutest stage, they are weak and frail looking, you have no type advantages, only disadvantages. You stand no chance against him. Narrowing his eyes, Ash sneers at the man. Judging a Pokemon before you have seen them battle is the quickest way to lose the match. Ash Ketchum, your Pokemon are ready. Pushing himself up from the table, Ash makes his way towards the front desk, where Nurse Joy was waiting on him with his Pokemon. Approaching the desk, Ash grabbed Eevee while Pikachu jumped up onto his shoulder. Thanks a lot, Nurse Joy, I really appreciate it. Joy smiled at Ash. It's no problem, sweetie. You go earn your badge now. Your Pokemon are very tough and in very good health. Ash smiled and bid Joy another farewell before leaving. Approaching the gym, Ash grins excitedly at his two companions. Are you two ready? Hell yes. We're going to kick these rocks buttes. Laughing, Ash opened the door to the gym, squinting his eyes at the darkness. Maybe no one is here. Eevee jumps down from Ash's arms. Maybe we should try calling out to them? Huh, good idea. Ash scratches his head. Is anyone there? Hello? Who goes there? A light turned on, showing a man sitting cross-legged on the ground. Turning to the man, Ash smiled widely. Hello, I'm Ash from Pallet Town. I've come here to challenge you to a gym battle. The man PPS his head to the side, eyeing Ash through the slits of his eyes. Is this your first gym battle? Seeing Ash nod his head, the man sighs. A gym battle is different from a regular trainer match. A gym battle is for official Pokemon League authorization. There are special rules. Yes, I know. All gyms have their own set of rules that the trainer must follow if he wants to have the chance to earn a badge. Brock is inwardly surprised. Most new trainers did not take the time to go over the rulebook and handouts the professors would give them, opting to run head first into battle. This guy actually looks like he did his research. Interesting. We will use 2 Pokemon each. Ping his head to the side. Brock eyes his Pokemon. How long have you been with your Pokemon? About a month and a half, give or take few days. Brock nods his head understandingly. Yes, your Pikachu is in its cutest stage. It cannot win. Pikachu growls at Brock, his red cheeks sparking. Oh, just you wait, pretty boy. I am so going to destroy your precious rock types. Eevee growls at the gym leader also, feeling offended in his tone towards his brother. A shiny Eevee? Very rare. But it is still no match for my Pokemon. I'll worry about my Pokemon and you worry about yours, alright? Ash said with narrowed amber eyes. Suit yourself, as gym leader I have to accept every challenge. So let's just get this over with. Brock says in a cocky tone before snapping his fingers. Lights turn on in the gym and the doors on either side of the room open, allowing the stage to begin sliding in. Ash, Pikachu and Eevee feel their eyes widen before they began running towards the end of the gym, jumping the last few feet. What was he thinking? He could have killed us with that move if not seriously injured. Eevee screeched, said that the gym leader would do such a thing. It's okay, Eevee, we will just pay him back in the way of a humiliating defeat. He is cocky right now because he has experience and type advantage. Well, we're going to show him just what we think of that. His 2 companions nod their heads in determination before the trio turn to face Brock. Jumping down from his rock, Brock lands in front of the field. Pulling a Pokeball from his belt, Brock sends it soaring. Go! Geodude! A rock ball Pokemon with 2 arms protruding from its sides appeared. Geodude! Ash PPS his head to the side before looking down at his 2 companions. Who's up first? Me! Pikachu yells, jumping onto the field. I'm going to show this loser what hard work and determination means. Ash smiles and rolls his eyes. I choose Pikachu. Brock smirks. Geodude, use Tackle. Pikachu, agility and then follow it up with an Iron Tail. Pikachu nods, before kicking off, easily dodging the rock Pokemon. Jumping into the air, Pikachu charges up an Iron Tail. Flipping in circles, Pikachu lands a direct hit onto the top of Geodude's head. Jumping back in front of his trainer, Pikachu watches with satisfaction as the rock type falls to the floor in a dead faint. Brock gaps at the pair. But how? Smirking, Ash replies. You made the wrong choice in thinking that I did not train my Pokemon. The entire month and a half I spent before coming here, was spent training my Pokemon to their breaking point. Shaking his head, Brock returns his Pokemon. It doesn't matter, there is no way you can defeat my next Pokemon. Go! Onix! A gigantic rock snake Pokemon appears on the field, roaring loudly. Ash only hums. Pikachu, do you want to continue? Or do you want to give Eevee a chance? You know how he's been about this gym. Pikachu stretches his tiny yellow arms above his head while yawning. Let him have a go. This was so easy it was almost pathetic. In that case, Pikachu return. Go Eevee. Eevee jumps onto the field. Hell yes. You stupid rock snake, you are so going down. Onix stares at the tiny fox Pokemon in front of him. He sure was spirited. Onix, let's end this quick. Use Tackle. Onyx's gigantic body rushes towards Eevee, who nimbly dodges out of the way. Eevee, jump up onto his body and run towards the top of his head. Eevee does just that, jumping onto one of the boulders that makes up the giant snake, her small paws quickly carrying her to the top of his body. Onyx tries to shake it off. Onyx begins madly trashing in attempt to knock the small Pokemon off. Follow your training, Eevee, you got this. With renewed determination, Eevee makes his way towards the top of the snake, managing to hold his footing. Now Eevee. Shadow Ball. Gathering dark energy in her mouth, Eevee releases a powerful Shadow Ball into the face of her opponent, before jumping off and landing safely away from the snake. Onyx crashes hard to the ground. Weakly attempting to stand back up, Onyx shakily makes its way back up. Onyx, use Roll Out. Eevee, use the rocks as stepping stones and dodge it. Nodding to his trainer, Eevee nimbly jumps from rock to rock, barely keeping ahead of the rock snake's attack. Misjudging his step though, Onyx hits Eevee with the last of his Roll Out, causing the small fox to be flung against a boulder. Eevee, are you okay? Eevee slowly stands back up onto his feet, breathing heavily but overall fine. Yes. I can go on. Smiling at Eevee's bravery, Ash quickly formulates a new plan. Eevee, use Confuse Ray. Jumping onto a rock near Onyx, the small fox releases a strong Confuse Ray, leaving no time for the rock snake to dodge. Now, while it is confused, uses one more Shadow Ball. Dodging the rock snake who was trashing around wildly trying to follow its trainer's commands, Eevee let loose a final Shadow Ball on her opponent, smirking to herself when the snake dropped in a dead faint. I believe that is our win. Brock can only stare in disbelief. His most powerful Pokemon was just taken out by some newbies who has only had his Pokemon for a little over a month. Sighing in defeat, Brock recalls Onyx and reaches into his jacket, pulling out a badge. Walking up to Ash, Brock holds out the small item. Here is the Boulder Badge. You have proven me wrong, your Pokemon have been raised and trained very well. I wish you luck on the rest of your journey. Accepting the badge and pinning it into the small case Nurse Joy had given him, Ash smiles brightly at the other man. Thank you, Brock. It really was a good match. Eevee and I practiced that move for ages in preparation of your Onyx. Brock eyes the younger trainer curiously. How did you know I had an Onyx? It was in the training manual Professor Oak had given me. He said to read it thoroughly before challenging the gym because it had all of the leader's Pokemon listed in it. Brock laughed heartily. You are very interesting, Ash. Another young trainer from Palette Own came through here a few weeks ago. It took him 3 matches before he could defeat me, and he even had a Squirtle with him. You mean Gary? So you know him? Brock asks curiously. Not only know him, but grew up with him. He announced me as his rival, saying there was no way he could lose with such a weak trainer to compete against. Brock shakes his head incredulously before looking back towards his Pikachu that was dozing on top of Ash's head. You said that you have only had your Pokemon for a little over a month, but that Pikachu and you have a very deep bond. Ash laughs sheepishly while scratching the back of his head. I'm sorry. I meant that I have only been their trainer for that long. Pikachu and I have known each other for 5 years. Letting out a low whistle, Brooke smiled at the pair. It is no wonder I lost then, such a strong bond between Pokemon and trainer would not have let me win. Ash only smiled, running his hand over Eevee's soft coat. I have high hopes for you, Ash Ketchum. Don't let me down. Making their way through Mount Moon was certainly an experience for Ash. He continuously tripped over small rocks that his flashlight didn't pick up on, which causes Pikachu and Eevee to laugh at his misfortune. It's not funny, guys. I'd like to see you two come down here and try it instead of hitching a free ride on my shoulders. Ash huffed. Ash. We're sorry. We just did not realize how clumsy you could be. Eevee said sweetly, liking his cheek in apology. Yeah, Pikapi. We don't mean anything bad by it. Pikachu said, rubbing his face against Ash's own. Rolling his eyes, Ash continued down the path. Say, Pikapi. Why haven't you caught any new Pokemon? Scratching his tan cheek, Ash tilted his head to the side. Because you can only have 6 Pokemon with you at a time. I couldn't stand having to send any of my friends away. Eevee rubbed his tail across his trainer's neck. You're so sweet, Ash. I'm glad I have you as a trainer. Even though you are a SLV driver when it comes to training. Hey, I only do that to try and make you two better. Pikachu laughed, before jumping down from his perch on Ash's shoulder. Looking around into the dark abyss, he gave a humming sound. Speaking of training, I think it would be a great way to work on our senses by training in here. It is pitch black and we won't be able to see anything, the only way to avoid attacks would be to listen for them. Ash beamed proudly at Pikachu. That is a great idea, buddy. The next gym is a water type. I am sure that they will make full use of the pool they have by sending their Pokemon into the water for sneak attacks. If we were to train for it, we could get you two to the point you could feel the water moving and know where they would be coming from. It would also be very useful against Dig, if we end up battling a Pokemon that knows it. Eevee nodded along happily. He would never admit it, but he loved the hard training they had to endure. In the wild he was attacked and abandoned for being a different color than the rest of the Eevees that lived there. If he ever goes back, they won't know what hit them. He would be so strong he could take on the Espion that governed the place and had helped make his life hell. With reinforced determination, Eevee jumped down next to Pikachu. Yes, let's do it. Ash could only smile in fondness at his two Pokemon. Cerulean Jim would not know what hit it. Ash smiled as he sat cross-legged, his two Pokemon on either side of him and the eccentric Seymour the scientist on the other side of Pikachu, petting his yellow head. Clefairy and Clefable were dancing in intricate twirls and jumps around them. It had been a few hours into their training when the older man stumbled upon them, drawn by the rather embarrassing loud noises they were making. Thinking that they might have been villains, because a group named Team Rocket had been there a few weeks prior trying to steal the Moonstone, Seymour had shakily challenged them to a battle claiming he would defend the Pokemon living here with his life. Ash and his two companions had been confused, until the story was explained to them. After explaining their innocent intentions, they had been embraced by Seymour and the wild Pokemon in the cave, the Zubat even going as far to help Eevee and Pikachu with their training. They are beautiful, are they not? Seymour asked Ash, a peaceful smile on his face as his chocolate eyes followed the dancing. Ash grinned back, the peace and relaxation felt was truly amazing to the young trainer. Yes, they are. Seymour beamed at Ash, happy to find someone that shared his sentiments. The last trainer through here, a Gary he believed, had attempted to capture the wild Pokemon only seeing their beauty as a way to further himself. From what Seymour had seen from the kid, he did not quite understand the friendship, love and trust that went into bonds with Pokemon. But this kid, this Ash Ketchum, was so young and already knew about the deep bonds between trainer and Pokemon. Understood that without trust and love there could be no connection. He only had two Pokemon with him, unlike most new trainers who attempted to capture as many as they could after they got their Pokédex and starters. I can't wait till I can fly on the Moonstone back to space with the Clefairy. Ash smiled, in a non-condescending way that Seymour wasn't used to seeing. It made the young kid's already budding beauty even more enhanced. Seymour knew that this kid would grow up to be a heartbreaker. I'm sure one day you will be able to too. If anyone deserved the chance it would be you. That was another reason Seymour liked this kid so much. He didn't mock and belittle his dream like everyone else did. He didn't comment on his scruffy appearance and odd eccentrics. He took everything in stride, genuinely accepting the older male. Thank you, Ash. Ash, who had pulled a dozing Eevee into his lap, flashed his straight white teeth in a grin. Of course, Seymour. Seymour was once again struck dumb. Maybe when Ash was older. Pikachu sat on top of his head with Eevee in his arms. They had left Seymour a couple of hours ago and decided that strolling towards Cerulean City would be better than running. They wanted to conserve their energy for their battle. The week they spent inside Mount Moon was truly enlightening. While Pikachu and Eevee were excellent when it came to opponents they could see, they were abysmal when it came to relying on their senses. At the beginning of their training, the Zubat helping them were constantly landing hits. Their lower level didn't matter because Pikachu and Eevee couldn't hit something that they couldn't see. However, after several long grueling hours of training it was all starting to come together. It was a slow process, but his Pokemon were dedicated to their training. After a week of training, and some coaching from Seymour and the other Pokemon, his friends were finally able to master the art of fighting opponents they couldn't see. Ash counted it as a plus because their senses had sharpened also. Who wants to fight first at Cerulean? I think Eevee should get the chance to because I went first at the last gym. Plus if I end up using any electric-type moves on the field it would be better to go last so she doesn't risk falling into the water and harming herself. Ash nodded his head along to what Pikachu was saying. That's a great idea. You up for it, Eevee? The little fox Pokemon wiggled around excitedly in Ash's arms. I was born ready. Just bring it on. Booyah! Laughing, Ash eyes his Pokemon fondly. Hopefully these gym leaders are not as cocky as Brock. Eevee puffed out his chest. Well, if they are I am going to enjoy wiping the floor with their Pokemon. Pikachu PPS his head to the side. What do you mean, gym leaders? The Cerulean City Gym is ran by 3 gym leaders known as the Sensational Sisters. While they still take challengers, it is known that they prefer to perform rather than battle. Pikachu makes a humming noise. So how will you know that they will battle us? Eevee nods her head. Yeah, how do we know that they won't just be doing shows? Ah, that's an easy question. They clear out their schedules completely on Wednesdays in order to take on challengers. And lucky for us, today is Wednesday. Eevee and Pikachu exchange a look. They don't think it was just luck that they were entering the town on the day the gym leaders were free. Following his map through Cerulean City, Ash finally found the gym. This is it, guys, where we're going to get our second badge. Pikachu and Eevee cheer from their respective spots on Ash's shoulders. Pushing open the door, Ash makes his way towards the middle of the building, where the pool for their battles and stage for their performances was. His determination didn't stop him from admiring the aquarium he walked through though. There were many types of water Pokemon floating and lazing about. What do you two think about it? Ash asks his two Pokemon, curious on how they viewed the aquarium. Well, I don't think I would ever be comfortable doing nothing all day when I could spend that time training. Pikachu said with Eevee nodding his head along with him. Ash laughed before stopping at the sight of two baby blue doors with seals and dugongs painted on them. Well, here we are, guys. Are you two ready? At his Pokemon's enthusiastic replies, Ash pushes open the doors and is greeted to the sight of an enormous pool. Walking into the room, Ash looks around, confused when he cannot see anyone. Hello? Is anyone here? As soon as the words left his mouth, when a blonde-haired girl wearing a one-piece bikini walks into the room. Sorry kid, didn't realize we were going to have a challenger so early in the day. I just got the message that you entered the gym. The voluptuous woman said, smiling at him. The name is Daisy Waterflower. I'm guessing you have come to earn your badge? Nodding, Ash smiles at the older female. Yes, I've come for the Cascade badge. Daisy nods. It will be a 2-on-2 battle though. Daisy pauses and glances at Pikachu sitting on his left shoulder. If you use that Pikachu, I am going to say I might as well give you the badge now. There is no way that my Pokemon will be able to battle you. Scratching the back of his head, Ash smiles sweetly at the blonde. If it is all the same to you, I would rather earn my badges. Daisy smiles at the boy in front of her. While it was obvious to tell he had probably just recently started his journey, she could see the closeness between him and his two Pokemon already. Plus for being 10, he was already a beautiful child. If he ended up batting for her team, she would so stake a claim on him. Those amber eyes were already mesmerizing. Sure thing, kid. Walking over to the end of the platform closest to the diving board, Daisy motions to the one opposite of her to Ash. Are you ready, kid? Grabbing the bill of his hat and turning it backwards, Ash nods, determined. It's Ash, and yes, I am ready. Go. Sea King. A large orange fish with horn on the top of its head appeared from the Pokeball. Eevee, you know what to do. Of course. I've been craving sushi. Eevee said, landing on the platform and giving the floating Pokemon an evil look. Crazy fox. Sea King whispers, gulping. I'll show you crazy, you overgrown goldfish. Eevee screamed, jumping into the air and shooting off a swift towards the startled fish Pokemon. Sea King. Quick, go underwater. Sea King dives underwater, barely missing the attack. Now Sea King, confuse Eevee by swimming around underwater before coming up for a horn attack. Ash smirks, already expecting this. Eevee, practice what we learned. Narrowing her eyes at Ash, Daisy watches as Eevee closes his eyes. She knew he had a trick up her sleeve, she just did not know what it was. At his trainer's shout, Eevee closes his eyes and began focusing on the way the platform he was standing on moved with the water. He had been familiarizing himself with the pool's water since he jumped out the platform, readying himself to be able to pick out minute shifts in the water's movement. Noticing a ripple from his right, Eevee smirked and waited for it to come closer. Now Sea King. Sea King jumps out of the water, attempting to hit Eevee with his horn attack, but the fox Pokemon was already in the air. And from the energy forming in his mouth, she had already been readying an attack. Eevee, Hyper Beam. Releasing the stored energy, Eevee hit Sea King with a direct hit. Sea King was blasted back several feet, but it was able to remain floating. Good job, Sea King. Now, water gun quick. Sea King, following his trainer's directions, releases a quick water gun, hitting the small Eevee in the face and sending it hurtling into the water. No! Eevee! Ash screams, worry for his littlest Pokemon overcoming him. His amber eyes search the water, exhaling in relief when Eevee surfaces. Good job, Eevee. But you're in Sea King's territory. You need to get on a platform quick. Eevee nods his head, quickly swimming towards a platform. Oh no, you don't. Sea King, he is in your territory now. Use a horn attack. The large fish Pokemon quickly makes his way towards Eevee, his horn glowing slightly. Slamming up into the small fox Pokemon, Eevee is launched out of the water. Eevee, if you can release a Shadow Ball now. Eevee, though battered and injured, angled his body facing towards Sea King and released a Shadow Ball directly at his opponent. The orange fish Pokemon fell into the water, swirls in its eyes. Daisy cursed, recalling her Pokemon. That was a good trick, Ash, but let's see if you can beat this. Go! Dugong. A white seal Pokemon appeared on the platform in front of Daisy. Eevee, return. Eevee, having landed on a platform, ran back to Ash's side. Go Pikachu. Hoping down from Ash's shoulder, Pikachu landed on the platform that Eevee had just vacated. Oh, Arceus, have mercy on my soul. Dugong pleads, seeing his opponent. Pikachu only sniggers. Bringing out your electric type, huh? Dugong, we might have a chance of winning this if you stay out of the water and try your best to avoid its electric attacks. Dugong could only pray he didn't get hurt too bad. Pikachu, agility. Pikachu shot off his platform and towards the seal Pokemon in a blur of speed. Quick, Dugong, use Ice Beam to freeze the field and then let's go skating. Blasting a beam of ice towards the water, Dugong immediately slid onto the frozen water, narrowly avoiding an attack. Ash scowls, he wants to end this quickly. He is worried about Eevee, who is breathing heavily beside his leg. Pikachu, thunder on the ice. Letting loose a powerful thunderbolt, the ice cracked, forcing the Dugong underwater with it. Quick, another thunderbolt on the water. Zapping the water one more time, Pikachu lands on a platform watching as sparks of electricity moves across the surface. Waiting, he isn't surprised when Dugong floats to the top, his body twitching with electricity and completely knocked out. Quickly recalling her Pokemon, Daisy stares worriedly at the Pokeball. You battled well, I will get you to the Pokemon Center right away. Walking over towards Ash, Daisy presents him with the Cascade badge. Here you go, Ash, you've earned it. Graciously accepting the raindrop-shaped badge, Ash sticks it next to his boulder badge. Thank you, Daisy. It was a good match. Daisy stares incredulously at Ash. A good match? You beat me in 20 minutes. Smiling shyly, Ash shrugs. But the pewter gym leader didn't even last 15. Especially not against Pikachu. Dugong and Seaking did great. Grinning at the praise from the younger boy, Daisy laughs. Usually it is me consolidating trainers. You did much better than the last person that came in through here. I think his name was Gary. He challenged the gym with a Squirtle that wasn't hardly trained. It seemed like he had just gotten it but went straight for the gyms. I wouldn't doubt it. He has always been that way. He thinks because his grandpa is a Pokemon professor that it makes him better than everyone else, even gym leaders. Daisy eyes the boy curiously. You know him? Ash nods. Yes, we're both from Pallet Town. Throwing her hands up in the air, Daisy stomps her foot. You are the fourth trainer from Pallet Town that has beaten me now. Calming down, Daisy regains control of herself. But this Gary kid is traveling with my little sister. She's a nuisance, but I love her. Ash pats the blonde's shoulder in sympathy. It's okay. He's cocky but he travels in a group with his cheerleaders, I am sure your sister will be all right. The worry that had began creeping into Daisy's eyes disappeared. Thanks, Ash. Now I better go, I have got to get my Pokemon to the Pokemon Center. Especially Dugong. Ash nods, I need to get Eevee seen too, I'll follow you. Eevee, finish it up with quick. Attack. The silver fox knocked into the purple rat Pokemon, knocking it unconscious. The boy frowns sadly recalling his Pokemon with a soft Rattata. You're really strong, mister. Ash only smiles at the younger kid. No, I just have been training my Pokemon longer. I am sure that if you trained your Pokemon up some more they would give these two a run for their money. As soon as he finishes his speech, a wind passes by them, blowing out Ash's jacket and exposing the case he kept his badges in. Wow, is that a Pokemon League case? Do you have any badges? The kid asks curiously, stars shining in his eyes. I have 2 so far. Ash answers slowly, unused to such attention. I bet you are so strong. I bet you could even take on AJ. Ping his head to the side, Ash eyes the younger one confused. AJ? The boy nods his head enthusiastically. Yes, he is a really tough Pokemon trainer. He trains wild Pokemon. He has even opened his own gym. He hasn't lost a single match. Ash hums slightly. Not one. Nope. You should go challenge him. His gym is just down that road. The kid points to a road before running off. So, what do you say, guys? I think it would be great testing our strength against someone who is supposed to be super strong. Yeah. Let's do it. Laughing at his 2 Pokemon, Ash began walking down the path. What Pokemon do you think he has? Pikachu shrugs. Does it matter? As long as we have each other there is no way we could lose. I agree. Pikachu and I can keep ourselves out of trouble for the most part during battle, but if it wasn't for your strategies and training we would be toast. Eevee states seriously. Smiling at his friend's trust in him, Ash pets Eevee between his soft ears. Thanks, you too. His Pokemon only smile at him. Arriving at a huge wooden door, Ash eyes the sign curiously. 98 wins in a row? That is impressive. His Pokemon only nod. Are you my new victim? Came a heavily accented voice. Turning around, Ash eyes the green-haired newcomer. Yes, that would be us. I heard that there was an unauthorized gym with a really strong leader and I wanted to come challenge it myself. The boy, who Ash assumed was AJ, only nodded with a cocky smile. Beating chumps like you is my hobby. Follow me. The boy leads them through the opening door. Stopping a couple of feet in, he sits down his backpack. Watching as a Butterfree picks it up and flies off towards a colorful tent. What was in the bag, if you don't mind me asking? The boy sneers at him. The new wild Pokemon I just caught. There is a bunch more in the tent. Walking up towards the raised battling platform, AJ calls over his shoulder, so which Pokemon are you going to choose to be my 99th win? Ash can only roll his eyes at the boy's attitude. He was almost as bad as Gary. Following him up the steps and onto the other side of the field, Ash looks towards his two Pokemon. Which one of you wants to battle? Pikachu jumps from his shoulder and down onto the field. Me, I hate this kid's attitude. It is rubbing me wrong. AJ laughs. A Pikachu? Kid, you ain't battling in the Little League matches anymore. Cracking a whip towards Ash and Pikachu he smirks. And after I win my 100th battle I will start competing for badges. Ash narrows his amber eyes in anger. This guy had the audacity to threaten him and Pikachu like that? Pikachu, when this battle starts I want you to give full power. Not what we have been battling the other trainers with. Nodding his yellow head, Pikachu's black eyes glint with malicious intent. This human dared threaten his family? Well, Pikachu wasn't the level he was because he was weak. Let's get started then. Sandshrew, go! A tiny armadillo Pokemon came out, uncurling its body and taking on a defensive stance. Pikachu, I'm leaving this up to you. You know what to do. Nodding, Pikachu sped into a quick attack. AJ cracked his whip and Sandshrew disappeared underground before Pikachu could hit it. Closing his eyes and concentrating on his senses, Pikachu smirked in victory when he felt Sandshrew burrow behind him. With another crack of his whip, Sandshrew erupted into the sky, ready to KO the electric mouse. What AJ and Sandshrew didn't expect was Pikachu to turn around, his tail turning silver. With a vicious hit to the face, Sandshrew fell to the ground, struggling weakly to get back up before it finally fainted. AJ could only stare in disbelief as his most powerful Pokemon lost. He trained Sandshrew to the best of its abilities and the Pokemon had lost to another that had a type disadvantage. But, how? AJ stuttered out. Ash only smiled sadly at the other boy. Pikachu just has more training than Sandshrew. Recalling his Pokemon, AJ stood to his full height. I will see you again someday, and when I do I will beat you. Ash grabbed AJ's outstretched hand. I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty foggy out here, huh guys? Yeah, I can't see a thing. Pikachu said, peering into the dense fog. I bet even a Pidgeot couldn't lift this fog. Eevee agreed. Hey, isn't that a light? Ash asked, walking towards it. The closer he got though, the clearer the voice and images came. Feeling a deep rage building inside himself at the continuous harassment the younger boy was forced under, Ash finally snapped. What's going on here? Ash asked, steel in his voice as he helped the younger boy up from his spot on the ground. Nothing is going on here. Just private training. Though Pokemon Tech doesn't need someone so dim-witted in it that doesn't even know Pidgey's evolved form. Ash sneers. Pokemon Tech, huh? I remember my mom asking me if I wanted to attend there. But Professor Oak convinced her that I should work under him instead. Said that Pokemon Tech didn't turn out a good set of trainers because they were only taught practical knowledge. The older boys sneered at the duo. We will see you back at the school. The leader said before the five walked off. Ash's glare followed them into the fog. Today's fog battle sequence has ended, tomorrow we will be practicing snow-based techniques. Ash was slightly surprised when the heavy fog lifted and the school was revealed. Oh well, I guess tomorrow they will spend the day turning me into a snowman. Wait, Ash starts incredulously, they treat you like that all the time? The smaller boy shrugs, looking towards the ground. They are my friends. They are just trying to make me better. Ash frowns, before he grips the other boy's shoulder. Those people are not your friends, kid. If they were, they wouldn't treat you like that. The kid began reciting information about the school and different things about Pidgey before finally ending it with, they just want to help me. Ash quirks an eyebrow. And what do the teachers say about that kind of help? They don't even know about it. Ash scowls. Well, this type of behavior needs to be stopped now. I want to talk to the student in charge here. Here is a picture. Ash bent down to get a closer look, as did his two Pokemon. It was a girl, she could be called pretty to some people. But Ash wasn't going to go that far. If you hate the way she treats you, then why do you carry her picture around? I hate the way she treats us, but I like the way she looks. The boy answered simply. Ash, Pikachu and Eevee sweat dropped. Following Ben into a room full of computers, Ash looked around curiously. What is this place? This is where we practice our battle skills. We use this room to simulate battles so that we are better prepared for the future. Ping his head to the side, Ash stares wide-eyed as a Weepinbell appears on screen battling a Starmie. This is Cerulean City Gym. I win in every battle I take against it. Ben turns to look at Ash curiously. How many badges do you have anyways? I have 2. Ash answers easily. Oh. Ben says looking disappointed. Giselle is the best trainer in our division. So that is better than having 3 badges. Even me, the weakest in our class, could still beat a trainer like you. Pikachu growls softly. I would love to see you try, kid. Eevee could only echo his sentiments. If you are so sure then, why don't we have a battle? Ben nods his head. Eevee, you're up. Nodding his Fury Silver head, Eevee walks in front of Ash. Even with a shiny Eevee, you have no chance against me. Ben says, assured of himself. Go, Weepinbell. A plant-like Pokemon appears. Weepinbell, Razor Leaf. Eevee, dodge and use Shadow Ball. Nimbly dodging the fox Pokemon releases a ball of dark energy knocking out the plant Pokemon. I don't understand, how did I lose? Because your Pokemon obviously does not have as much experience as his. A new voice adds to the conversation. You are truly pathetic and weak. If you continue to be a disgrace to the school, nothing I do or say can stop the other kids from turning their backs on you. Ash recognizes the girl as Giselle. Just because a Pokemon has higher levels than another doesn't mean that they couldn't win without the right training. I just saw a trainer train his Sandshrew to withstand water attacks. Cold brown eyes lock onto Ash. And who are you? My name is Ash. I do not approve of how you have been treating the other students. Just because he doesn't have as much battle experience as you doesn't make him weak. The girl laughs cruelly. Please. I have heard that you only have 2 badges. Plus the fact that your 2 Pokemon are out of their Pokeballs. What are you, some trainer that hasn't even tamed his Pokemon? Are you really so weak that you cannot get them to return to you? Plus you have a Pikachu, everyone knows that they are notoriously difficult to train and the new trainers shouldn't mess with them. How long have you been a trainer now? About 3 or 4 months. Ash answers smoothly. At that rate your Pikachu should be at a level 30. I bet it hasn't made it pasted level 20. Add to the fact that Pikachu are only good as little girls' pets, unless you evolve them into Raichu. Which you haven't done yet. Ash grits his teeth. The insults she has against Pikachu are like little person jabs against him also. In that case, I challenge you to a Pokemon battle. Hell yes, and I am going to beat your butt? Pikachu screamed. The girl smirks. Fine, against your Pikachu I will use this Pokemon. Go, Cub1. A small brown Pokemon pops out. Cub1, let's start this off with Leer. Cub1 glares menacingly at Pikachu. But Pikachu just shrugs it off, glaring back. Pikachu quick attack and finish it off with an iron tail. Nodding, Pikachu speeds into an quick attack, jumping over the small brown Pokemon's body landing a painful hit on top of its head with his silvered tail. The Cub1 immediately starts crying. Pikachu sweat drops, he had actually expected more of a battle than that. Oh no, Cub1. Don't cry. Return. After returning her Pokemon, Giselle eyes Ash curiously. I have never heard of a Pikachu winning a battle with anything other than an electric attack. Ash only smiles at his yellow friend. Yeah, well. Pikachu's special. I hope this proves to you the real joy of Pokemon. Giselle only nods, before begging Ben for forgiveness. We're lost, aren't we? Eevee asks his trainer exasperated. Hey now, it's not my fault the map on Dexter isn't working. Pikachu rolled his eyes. Yeah, but if you had planned ahead you would have known to grab a real map also. Ash only dignified that with his tongue sticking out. Anyways. There is a bridge right there. It might lead to a path towards Vermilion or even to someone who can point us in the right direction. Pikachu and Eevee nod, let's hope. Amber eyes roll in fond annoyance. Making their way across the bridge, Ash begins to get nervous when he hears it begin to creak. Guys. Did you hear that? Yeah, so you better run. Running, Ash barely made it to the other side before the ropes on the bridge snapped, sending it falling into the rushing stream below. That could kill someone. Pikachu nods. Maybe it was a trap? Eevee's eyes widen. But who would do such a thing? Ash shrugs, being careful not to jostle the 2 freeloaders. Who knows? Stopping in a clearing, Ash sits his stuff down. Walking over to the small pond, Ash cups his hands and begins drinking the water. Guys, this water is really good, come try some. Eevee and Pikachu look at each other before shrugging and walking over to the pond, taking sips of water themselves. Wow, you weren't kidding, Ash. This stuff is great. Aren't I always right? Ash asked teasingly. Snorting, Pikachu shook his head. Ha, you wish. While the trio were busy laughing and making fun of each other, they didn't notice a small plant bulb Pokemon make its way towards the stream. Oddish, thinking she had avoided detection, began happily drinking from her favorite pond. It really did have the best in the whole wide forest. Humming happily, Oddish froze when she looked up. The trainer and his 2 Pokemon were watching her curiously. Backing away slowly from the trainer, Oddish let loose a distress call, hoping to signal Bulbasaur. She knew she wasn't strong enough to beat them, but he was. Hey, little one. It's okay, we are not going to hurt you. Yeah, our trainer can be a SLV driver, but that doesn't mean he isn't a great human. Hey, I resent that human remark. Eevee sniggers. No, I think you mean you resemble it. Ash grumbles, muttering petulantly about traitor Pokemon. Oh, you know we love you, you big baby. And I love you both also? Oddish watches the exchange with wide eyes. You can understand them? Ash smiles at the small Pokemon. A gift not many know I have. Oddish opens her mouth to say something else when a green blur flew into Ash, knocking him off of his feet and painfully into the ground. Back up, buddy, there is no way I am letting you hurt this Oddish. Bulbasaur growled. Ash put his hands up in the universal sign for surrender. I'm sorry, I think there is a misunderstanding. I'm not trying to hurt Oddish. She just freaked out a little when she saw me and my friends. Bulbasaur looks back at the small plant Pokemon, waiting on her to confirm the story. It is true, Bulbasaur. I didn't realize that they weren't going to hurt me or try to capture me before I called for you. Bulbasaur nods, turning back to the trio. You 3 are forgiven for now. But leave this place and do not come back. Ash lowers his hands, petting his 2 friends to calm down their trembling bodies. He knew that they wanted nothing more than to battle Bulbasaur for hurting him, but he was restraining them. They didn't need a fight with someone who was obviously a protector of sorts. You see, I can't quite do that yet. Bulbasaur's red eyes narrow. He was curious about how this trainer could understand the Pokemon language, but not so curious he would be willing to risk the lives of his charges. And why not? We kind of got lost. Ash said sheepishly, rubbing the back of his head. Bulbasaur rolled his eyes. Of course. If I take you 2 to the right path, will you promise to leave and never return? The trio nod their heads. Okay then, come on. Bulbasaur looks at the small Oddish. Do you want to travel with us there or head back? Oddish smiled. I will travel with you to take them to the road. Bulbasaur nodded before beginning to walk, fully expecting the others to follow him. Making their way back through the forest, none of them expected to run into a flock of Spearow. Oh, Arceus. Not this again. Pikachu, Eevee, you 2 know what to do. The duo nods. They had already began charging up their attacks. While they were attacking the flock of angry Spearow, they didn't notice a small group had detached themselves and were dive-bombing towards Oddish. Ash jumped on top of Oddish. He knew the others wouldn't make it in time. He also knew Oddish would most likely not survive the assault. Crying out softly in pain as their beaks hit a particularly sensitive piece of flesh, Ash grimaced. Bulbasaur turned his head towards the noise, shocked when he saw the trainer protecting the small grass Pokemon with his own body. Bulbasaur had known no trainer that had risked his life for a Pokemon. Firing off a razor leaf, Bulbasaur scared off the group, while Pikachu and Eevee finished up theirs. They turned their heads expecting to get compliments from their trainer. They had become rather spoiled when they felt their hearts sink. Ash, are you okay? Please be okay. Eevee wailed, crying into his trainer's side. Pikapi, if you are not okay I will shock you. Please get up. Bulbasaur watched in shock as the 2 Pokemon cried and fretted over their trainer. While some trainers treated their Pokemon nice, they never went out of their way to make friends with them. Well, at least from what he had seen. Releasing pollen from his bulb, Bulbasaur watched in satisfaction as it healed the trainer's wounds. It was, after all, the least he could do for the trainer that saved Oddish. Stopping at the beginning of a road, Ash and his Pokemon turned back to smile brightly at the duo. Thank you, Bulbasaur, for helping us get and for healing me. I'm pretty sure I would have been in a bad way for a while if it wasn't for you. You are welcome, Ash. It was the least I could do after you saved Oddish. Ash only smiled brightly at him. Anyone would have done it, buddy. Bulbasaur highly doubted it, but he wouldn't tell Ash that. And as Ash and his 2 Pokemon made their way down the path, Bulbasaur watched them go. Feeling like he had made a terrible decision in not following. Swallowing the sick feeling, he nudged Oddish and headed back to the village. That Bulbasaur was pretty cool, huh guys? Pikachu and Eevee could only roll their eyes. It was the 5th time Ash had asked that in the span of the last 20 minutes. Yes, Pikapi. Bulbasaur was super cool. Ash pouts at Pikachu. I hope him and Oddish made it back okay. Eevee swatted Ash across his small button nose. I am sure they did, Ash. Like you said, Bulbasaur was a really strong Pokemon. Ash smiles and nodded. Continuing their trek down the trail, they were surprised to encounter a huge rock in the middle of the road. Looking up, they were even more surprised to see a Pokemon sitting on top of it. Ash felt his eyes widen when he saw it was a Charmander. That wasn't what surprised him though, no, it was the small flame on its tail. Hey there bud, are you okay? The Charmander looked down from his place on the rock. Yes. I am waiting for my trainer to come and get me. Ash felt concern grow inside of him. The small dragon-like Pokemon was breathing hard, sweat falling down its body. When did he say he would be back? Charmander looks away before looking back towards Ash. He momentarily lost himself in those compassionate amber eyes before he shook himself. He didn't say, but I know it will be soon. Ash reluctantly nodded his head, and he could feel his Pokemon do the same. If you are sure, Charmander. Stay safe, okay? The small lizard nodded his head. Watching as the trainer made his way down the route. Looking up towards the sky and noticing the growing clouds, Charmander could only hope Damien showed up soon. Ash, Pikachu and Eevee all sat around a small table gladly eating some warm soup. It was getting awfully cold outside. I hope that guy came back for his Charmander. It's starting to rain outside. Ash said worriedly. His two Pokemon couldn't help but echo his sentiments. Hey Damien, didn't you have a Charmander too? Yeah, but I got rid of the weak little thing. It couldn't even defeat the weakest of opponents. I left it on some rock. It really believes I will come back for it. Huh. Like I would come back for a weakling like that. Ash growled. He just knew that the Charmander this Damien was talking about was the same one from the rock earlier. Stalking over to the blue-haired male, Ash punched his square in the nose, smirking when Pikachu shocked his friends. That is for leaving a Pokemon out to die and laughing about it. After that sentence was said, Ash and his friends made their way out of the Pokemon Center, running full force back towards the rock from earlier. Please do not let us be too late. Skidding to a halt in front of the rock, Ash was relieved to see Charmander with a leaf over its body, helping to keep his flame lit. Taking off his jacket, Ash grabbed the small lizard and curled him up tight, using his hat to keep the rain from falling onto the flame of his tail. The rain was now pouring down in heavy buckets, the wind strong enough to knock over small trees. Ash glanced down at Pikachu and Eevee, not for once happy that he had his two companions with him. Eevee was running his tail over Charmander's body in an effort to help warm him up, and Pikachu was making sure now water landed on the increasingly small flame on his tail. Running back towards the Pokemon Center, Ash prayed the entire time that Charmander wouldn't die in his arms. Throwing the doors open, Ash rushed to the front desk where Nurse Joy was. Quick, Nurse Joy. Charmander needs help now. Nurse Joy took one look at the Pokemon in the boy's arms. Grabbing the small bundle, she headed back towards the emergency room. Ash spent 6 hours pacing in the lobby before Nurse Joy finally came back out. How is he? Is he okay? Nurse Joy glares at Ash. Charmander will be okay. Though I have half a mind of taking him away from you. What were you thinking, allowing him to get like that? Charmander is not my Pokemon. He is that Damien kid's from earlier. I heard him say that he left Charmander on a rock and hoped his tail flame went out. I had to go save him. Nurse Joy felt herself calm down. So that was what that fight had been about earlier. She was glad the kid had managed to break that monster's nose. Charmander will be okay. He is a little weak right now, but he will manage. Do you want to come see him? Ash nodded mutely, following Joy as she walked back through the doors. Seeing Charmander laid out on a bed with his tail flame growing bigger, Ash let out a silent sound of relief. A weight he didn't know he had been holding was lifted from his shoulders. Thank you, Nurse Joy. Joy only smiled kindly back at him. I was only doing my job, young man. Putting his hand gently against the small body, Ash felt a tear slide down his cheek. I am so sorry, Charmander. You did nothing to deserve how you were treated. Nothing. If I ever find Damien again, I promise I will kill him for you. You do not deserve a trainer who would leave you to die. Charmander, who was barely conscious, took the words and the emotion behind them to heart. He didn't know a trainer could care that much. Ash and his two friends were walking down the path to Vermilion City. I can't believe that Charmander went back to his trainer. Pikachu nodded, his ears slumped. I know. But you can't say that he isn't loyal. Ash smiled sadly. Loyal to the wrong person. Eevee could only nod in agreement. The trio stopped short when a flock of Pidgeotto appeared in front of them. Before Ash had a chance to yell a command, however, a scorching fire fried the birds to a crisp, causing them to retreat. Looking down, Ash was shocked. Charmander, hello. Ash smiled, bending down to rub the scaly head. It is nice to see you, Charmander. though I would advise not sneaking out of Pokemon centers in the future. Charmander only grinned sheepishly. I am sorry our trainer left, Charmander. No one deserves to be betrayed like that. Charmander looks down sadly. Yeah. Hey Charmander. A British accent said from behind them. I have been looking everywhere for you. Thought I lost ya. Charmander looked towards his old trainer. He couldn't believe that he had been loyal to this thing. What do you want? That was a very impressive move back there. Are you ready to come back on the team? Ash stood to his full height, glaring ice at the other man. You do not deserve someone as loyal as Charmander. If you don't leave within the next minute, I will not be held responsible for my actions. Damien snorted. Return, Charmander. Charmander knocked the Pokeball back towards Damien, laughing when it hit him in the face, causing the Pokeball to break. I'm going to get you now. I am going to use all my Pokemon. Pulling out about 50 Pokeballs, Ash would have to ask Professor Oak about that later. Charmander released a flamethrower before he could release them. Pikachu joined in with a Thunderbolt and Eevee with a Shadow Ball. Needless to say, Damien ran off crying for his mommy. Good job, guys. Ash said beaming. Charmander looked at Ash nervously. Is it okay if I join you for your adventure? Smiling, Ash pulled out a Pokeball. Sure Charmander. Gently tapping the ball on top of his head, Ash smiled when it was an instant catch. Immediately releasing the lizard Pokemon, Ash, Eevee and Pikachu grinned brightly. Welcome to the team, Charmander. Charmander could only smile, joy, belonging, and hope filling his heart. Ash, Pikachu, Eevee and Charmander continued their journey towards Vermilion City. Ash has and the others have been asking Charmander several questions in order to get to know him better. So Charmander, before we start progressing into your training, I just want you to know that I will work you to your breaking point. I don't do it because I want to hurt you, I only do it because I want to see you reach your full potential. Don't worry Charmander. Ash might be a SLV driver, but he has never done anything that could hurt us. In fact, it is usually the opposite. If he sees that we are getting too tired to go on, he will make a stop even if we want to try to continue. Eevee tells Charmander, beaming brightly when he seems relieved at his words. I've known Ash since he was 5. He is the most pure-hearted trainer you could ever hope to find. Charmander nods. He was used to feeling weak because of Damien treating him like he was good for nothing, but in the few hours that he was with Ash, Pikachu, and Eevee, Charmander already felt his confidence growing. The group had asked Charmander personal questions about himself, simple stuff like what his favorite color was, orange. Obviously, or what his favorite food was. He found cherry berries delicious. It was the simple stuff that Charmander knew most Pokemon trainers didn't take the time to learn. It is okay Ash. I want to learn everything I can. I want to grow strong so that I have never feel weak and helpless again. Ash beamed at his newest companion, bending down and sweeping him into a giant hug. You are going to be a great friend and fighter Charmander, I know it. Charmander smiles, Ash's amber eyes causing Charmander's inner flame to grow brighter. Though the moment was ruined when the ground gave away below them, causing the group to fall down into a deep pit. Ash, having his trio of Pokemon land on top of him, let out a pained groan. Every breath he took hurt. It felt as if each inhale he took, something was stabbing his lung. Pikapi? Pikapi? Are you okay? Pikachu fretted, his small yellow paws darting in to touch his friend before jerking back with each rasping breath Ash took. I don't know buddy, it hurts to breath. Charmander forced the heat in his body to redirect towards his tail, allowing the semi-dark hole to be illuminated with light. His 3 Pokemon let out sounds of shock. A small line of red blood was leaking out of the side of Ash's mouth, his usually tanned skin growing pale. Ash, don't worry, we will find a way to get you out of here. Eevee was about to attempt to scramble out of the hole when 5 heads poked over the top. Look who we got here boys. A bunch of suckers. The Squirtle in the middle, whose sunglasses were slightly pointed to each side, taunted. Yeah boss. A couple of losers. The Squirtless began laughing amongst themselves. Eevee, who had begun shaking with rage, exploded. Oh. So this is just supposed to be some funny prank, huh? Well, look what you did. Our trainer is dying now because of you. He is bleeding out of his mouth and it hurts him to bleed. I swear to Arceus if he dies I am going to kill you 5. This is not funny. You want his death on your conscience. The Squirtless, who had previously been laughing, now stared down at the small group in shock. Never had their pranks ever caused anybody to be seriously injured. Even though they had all been abandoned by their trainers, they would never wish done on anyone. Hearing the familiar sound of Officer Jenny's motorcycle coming, the Squirtless looked to their boss for guidance. Okay, we can't let this human die on our watch. You two, lead Officer Jenny this way, it sounds like she is almost here anyways. You help me get these 4 out of this hole. Nodding their heads, all 5 squirtless began working fast. Procuring a rope from nowhere, the 2 squirtless used it to lower their boss down into the pit, sighing in relief when they were able to use it to load the human and his 3 Pokemon onto. Pulling them up, the 3 squirtless had to withhold a shiver when they noticed the glares of death being sent at them from a Pikachu and Charmander. Glancing up, everyone sighed when Officer Jenny arrived, quickly taking in the scene and jumping straight into her job. Woo! An update. To answer questions, Eevee is a boy. I had started writing him as a girl, and when I went through and re-edited the last chapter, one mistakenly changed his gender to a boy. I am too lazy to fix those mistakes, so sorry. I am thinking of veering off the path of following canon events, and doing my own thing while integrating certain events into the story. Anyways, as always, leave me comments telling me who you want him to be paired with, what Pokemon you would like him to catch, and decide on a legendary for him. I might even consider 2 if the reasons are good enough. I hope y'all like this update. Enjoy. Ash felt like he was floating. Or maybe falling would be a better way to describe it. Not that he could aptly judge, however, because he was encompassed by black mist all around him. Hello? Is anyone there? Ash's voice was feeble, wobbling out into the darkened space before slowly fading. Shivering, Ash curls himself into a small ball. While the 10-year-old was incredibly mature for his age, he always had a problem with isolation. Growing up, Ash only had his mother. With no friends, due to Gary's negative influence, Ash always felt a constant ache in his chest. While all that went away with the meeting of the then Piku, Ash slowly felt himself grow happy again. Now though, is this black abyss, Ash felt the same ache growing inside of him again. Ash didn't know how long he floated there. It could have been minutes or days, but a light slowly began illuminating in the distance. Shielding his eyes, Ash is overcome by a blinding flash of blue. Hello, young chosen. A gentile voice echoes off the dark matter of the area they are trapped in. Slowly opening amber eyes, Ash is surprised to see a white and yellow equine Pokemon. An odd gasp escapes pink-parted lips. Arceus. Yes, chosen. It is I. Left breathless at the sheer amount of power exuding from the mythical Pokemon, Ash gaps slightly. But, what? Why? Arceus gazes softly at the stunned human at its feet. You died. The words are blunt, cutting straight through Ash's reverence and rendering him to shock. What? Ash croaks. Taking pity on the young human, Arceus gently nuzzles the small chest. It is okay, Ash, I revived you. What happened? Arceus makes a slight humming noise. When you fell into the pit, you took the brunt of the fall. With the combined weight of your Pokemon landing on top of you, it was enough for your rib to snap, the broken end piercing your lung. Officer Jenny was not able to get you to the hospital in time, causing your lungs to fill with blood. You choked to death. Tears, that had began welling up at the start of Arceus' story, are fluidly making their way down scarred cheeks. I don't remember any of this. No, I took the memories and pain away from you. While mature for your age, there are some things no child should have to endure. Nodding absently to the original one's words, Ash begins fretting. He was leaving so many people he loved behind. Pikachu, his mother, Charmander, Eevee. They would be so devastated he was gone. Will they be okay? Tilting its head to the side, Arceus observes the weeping boy. Do you not wish to know what will happen to you now instead? Ash vehemently shakes his head. No. I'm already dead. All of them, they have to go on living. Arceus can feel itself begin to chuckle. I can understand why you have been chosen. What do you mean? Ash questions as he wipes the tears from his eyes. You have been chosen by a prophecy. While I cannot divulge the details to you at this time, I now understand why the fates chose you. But I'm dead. I can't do anything. But young Ash. If you agree to certain conditions, I will restore your life force. Amber eyes narrow. His mother taught him that things were rarely ever given. That they always came with a cost. What conditions? Laughing at the suspicion of the boy, Arceus explains itself. The first condition is that you train your aura. At its current level it is too weak to even light a candle. In a few years' time I wish for it to have the power to level a mountain. What is aura? Aura is a force that can be found in any living creature. Everything that exists has its own aura. Certain Pokemon can use aura naturally, such as Lucario and Riolu. While every human has the ability to learn at least some form of aura, such as the human psychic Sabrina, the stress and pressure of their abilities often leave them mentally damaged in some way. You have already unlocked a small portion of aura, leading to your ability to understand Pokemon, as well as your eidetic memory. You Ash are a direct descendant of Sir Aaron. He was the greatest aura user of any human before or after him. What I offer you is to impart the full usage of aura into your mind. However, because the immense strain this would put on you, I am basically going to lock away the information. You will receive the most basic forms of information regarding aura, and until you master it no new information may be unlocked. Ash, who sat patiently through Arceus' speech, nods in understanding. Okay, I think I can handle that. What are the other conditions? You will agree to help the legendary Pokémon whenever they may need it. While most are doing okay in their respective positions, certain events or people will disrupt their duties and cause a natural disturbance. It will be your job to help the legendary rectify these happenings. Ash nods, gesturing Arceus to continue. The final condition is simple. I want you to continue taking care of your Pokémon to the best of your abilities, as well as freeing any Pokémon that you believe is being abused. I can agree to all three of your conditions. I accept your proposal. Ash tells the creator seriously. Are you sure you can handle this? Yes. Very well then. I will send you back to right after you enter the hospital. I will fix the damage done to you. By the time you awake, you will be ready to discharge and resume your journey. Ash feels a wave of relief crash through him. Thank you, Arceus. You are welcome, Ash. Gathering its power, Arceus watches as Ash leaves the distended state, returning to the world of the living. Do me proud. Squirtle sits diligently beside the young trainer's bed. It has been a week since Ash has entered his coma, and Squirtle feels increasingly guilty. All the pranks he and the rest of the Squirtle squad had played were just a retaliation for the hurt the abandonment of their trainers caused. They had only wanted to show the humans that they were there. After the accident, Officer Jenny had threatened with turning the Squirtle squad into the League. This would send Pokémon Rangers after them in full force, forcing them into areas where volatile Pokémon were kept. They never wanted any of that. A day after Ash was admitted into the hospital, a fire had broken out in town. The Squirtle squad, feeling guilty over their actions as well as wanting to prove to Officer Jenny that they could change, had easily and effectively put out the fire. Because of their efforts, the town had given them an award and promoted them to the town firefighters. All of the Squirtless had instantly taken to the job. All except him. Squirtle felt guilty over what had happened with Ash, that guilt only growing with each day he spent in a coma. Squirtle vowed to spend the rest of his life making it up to Ash. Glancing over to Charmander, Eevee and Pikachu, who had fallen asleep at various places next to Ash, Squirtle could only hope the three could forgive him too. Bulbasaur sits quietly next to Melanie, taking in the sight of all the Pokémon running around their small clearing. Ever since he had met that trainer, Bulbasaur has felt something growing in him. He regretted every day not going with Ash. Felt it deep in his gut that he had made the wrong decision. But he couldn't leave Melanie and the rest of the Pokémon here. They needed a protector. Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur moves his eyes up to the Bluinette's face. These past couple of weeks I have noticed a change in you. You are not the same. Bulba? Bulbasaur questions the young woman, not that she would know what he was saying. Your heart isn't here anymore. Melanie eyes the small plant Pokémon seriously. Though I agree with whatever caused this change of heart. The Pokémon here were only supposed to stay until they grew strong enough to leave. Now they feel too safe here. I think, Bulbasaur, that you need to follow your change of heart. I can take care of our small home, but you deserve to go out and explore the world. You deserve the chance to live your own life and follow your own dreams. And if you ever want to visit, we will always be here to welcome you. Bulbasaur's eyes fill with tears. He had felt so guilty over wanting to leave, expecting the woman he came to about to hate him. But she was giving him her permission and blessing. Standing up, Bulbasaur nods his head resolutely. Sending out his vines to encompass the woman in a soft hug, Bulbasaur begins to make his way out of the forest and towards where his heart was telling him Ash was. He didn't know how long it would take him, but he swore to himself that Ash would be his trainer. Opening his eyes was painful for Ash. The light shining through the window was too bright and his head was pounding. Slowly blinking, Ash was mystified to see a Squirtle staring at him. Looking around, he located his other Pokémon curled in a ball together at his feet. His eyes quickly lands back on the water Pokémon. Hello? Hi, Ash. I don't mean to seem rude, but who are you? I am one of the Squirtless that planted that hole you fell into. But if I would have known it could have seriously hurt someone, I would never have dug it. Squirtle quickly explains himself, before sighing in anger. Ash wouldn't even understand what he was saying. Ah, so it was you. I was curious on what that hole was doing out there. Feeling his eyes go wide, the water type gasps. You can understand me? Ash nods, flinching slightly when the movement causes his headache to increase. Yes, it is gift I have. Shifting in his seat, Squirtle carefully crawls onto the white hospital bed. Placing a tiny hand against the scarred tan cheek of his, hopefully, future trainer Squirtle speaks. I wish to become your Pokémon. I know I do not deserve it, because I am the reason you got hurt in the first place, but I want to start making it up to you. Amber eyes gaze thoughtfully at the small turtle. It is okay, Squirtle, I forgive you. You do not need to become my Pokemon if it is not something you truly wish for. Heart squeezing when the tan boy said, I forgive you, Squirtle felt emotion well in his chest. Most trainers would take whatever Pokemon they wanted, regardless of if the Pokemon wanted to be caught or not. Having Ash forgive him for not only landing him in the hospital but also turn down his offer of capture if it was not something he truly wanted hit a chord with the small turtle. It is something I truly want. Ash nods. Then I will capture you after I get released and all of my stuff back. Nodding and beaming, Squirtle hurries to find a doctor who can release Ash. We're lost. Aren't we? Pikachu questions exasperated. Not lost. Just misplaced. Yes, misplaced. Blah. Ash sticks his tongue out at Pikachu, much to the amusement of his other Pokemon. I can smell salt water, if it is any consolidation. Squirtle spoke up. After Ash had woke up from his coma, Squirtle had found a doctor who could discharge him. When the doctor walked in, it had caused his other 3 Pokemon to wake up also. Clobbering their trainer and friend, the 3 Pokemon did not stop their inspections until they were sure that Ash was awake and still alive. While they had initially been miffed at Squirtle, threatening bodily harm in his usual extravagant manner, the 3 had come to accept Squirtle as part of the group. Ash had also remembered his dream of Arceus and what the creation Pokemon had told him. After this discovery, Ash began slowly working on his aura, putting his full concentration into being able to read emotions, the most simple aura ability. This is what caused the group to become lost in the forest. That is actually good. If we head towards the water, we might be able to find someone who can tell us where this dummy got us lost at. Be careful about who you call a dummy, Charmander, or else I might add more weight to your ankle bracelets. Ash says teasingly. This causes Charmander to gulp and look down at the black bracelets adoring his tiny legs. Ever since Ash had restarted his journey, he had Pikachu and Eevee teach him and Squirtle everything they had learned so far. And while Ash could be a SLV driver, he never pushed them too hard. Though the past week Squirtle and Charmander had already leveled drastically. I was just kidding, Ash. Geesh. Making a humming noise, Ash waggles his finger in the fire type's direction. Following Squirtle, the group exited the forest and emerged onto a beautiful sandy beach. Hey Ash, isn't that Bill's lighthouse? Following the direction of Pikachu's finger, Ash sees an old lighthouse perched on top of a cliff. While he and Pikachu had only seen the lighthouse in pictures, the two had talked to Bill on several occasions when he called Professor Oak. It is. Yay. We're saved. Eevee, exasperated at his trainer's enthusiasm, gently nibbles on Ash's ear from his position on his shoulder. Well then, what are you waiting for? Beaming at his 4 Pokemon, Ash begins running towards the old lighthouse, and hopefully a warm bed. Knocking on the large doors loudly, Ash waits in anticipation. Who goes there? The voice echoes off the surrounding area, giving it a creepy feeling. Hey Bill. It's Ash. Oh, Ash. Feel free to come in. Jumping on his toes excitedly, Ash rushes into the lighthouse when the doors creak open. Bill? Give me a second, Ash. Call the professor while you wait. I know he has been meaning to talk to you. Nodding, even though Bill couldn't see him, Ash heads to the small table that has a computer and a Bellsprout phone. Ash dials Professor Oak's number. Waiting for Professor Oak to answer, Ash picks up Charmander and Squirtle, sitting the two on the table so that they would be able to see too. Oh. Hello there, Ash. Beaming at the cooking professor, Ash and his team wave back. Hello, Professor. We made it to Bill's lighthouse. Glancing up from his tofu, Oak smiles brightly at the Pokemon surrounding Ash. Ah yes, and it seems that you have gained 2 new companions. Yes. This is Charmander and Squirtle. Hello. The Pokemon say simultaneously. Oak smiles genially at the pair. I am going to guess that they greeted me. And in that case, hello to you two too. Ash beams, excitingly retelling his journey so far to the professor, gesticulating wildly throughout his tale, before his movements stop and his expression becomes somber. The trainer that I saved Charmander from was very cruel, Professor. But what I don't understand is how he had so many Pokemon with him. Oak strokes his beard, his eyes narrowed in thought. This Damien kid seemed like bad news, and if he was putting his Pokemon's lives in danger like that, then he needed to be arrested and taken to a Pokemon remedial school. If he could be taught to care for Pokemon there, he would be able to resume his journey. However, if he were to show no signs of improvement, then he would be stripped of his license and would never be able to own a Pokemon again. A trainer can carry more than 6 Pokemon with them, however most professors tend to have any over 6 transported back to their labs. Most trainers do not have the skill and experience needed to take care of more than 6, so the professors take care of the extra Pokemon as not to strain either party. Ash and his Pokemon nod along to the professor. So if I were to catch more than 6, could you make it to where they could stay with me? Oak sighs. He knew Ash would ask eventually. And while he turned down Gary's request, he would grant Ash's. Yes, Ash. However, if it ever becomes too tough, I want you to send them back to my lab so that I can watch them for you. Promise me. I promise, Professor. And so do my Pokemon. Pikachu, Eevee, Squirtle, and Charmander all nod their heads in agreement. You are going to be entering the electric-type gym next. Lieutenant Surge is known for his devastating electrical attacks, and because the other gym leaders have told him how good of a trainer you are, he will not hold back in your battle. I know that you have been training your Pokemon hard, but I suggest taking some time while at Bill's to train. He has a wide variety of Pokemon to battle against and he should be able to offer advice to your training. Ash nods frantically. I knew Lieutenant Surge would be tough. I just didn't know that gym leaders talk to each other about stuff like that. Stirring his pot so that his tofu doesn't burn, Oak dips his head. While on most accounts they don't, some trainers warrant their attention by proving they are capable with their Pokemon. You have proven that you have trained your Pokemon right and that you know what you are doing. By doing this, the gym leaders will inform each other of your progress so that they know what skill level they should use. Huh? That is interesting. Looking towards the hallways that he can hear Bill calling him from, Ash turns back towards the professor. Can you please tell my mom I love her? I got to go. Of course, Ash. And good luck. Waving goodbye, Ash ends the call. Walking towards Bill's voice, Ash looks down at his 4 Pokemon. We can do this, guys. We just have to believe in ourselves. His Pokemon nod in determination. Ash stands next to Bill. The two are out on the beach watching Ash's Pokemon battle. Bill had let Ash use his Jolteon to battle with Pikachu. The high level of Jolteon plus the excellent control of his speed and electricity was really pushing Pikachu to do his best. And Ash couldn't be prouder. The speed that he was gaining while training with Jolteon had caused Pikachu to learn Volt Tackle. A move Ash knew was going to come in handy in the future. Squirtle was training with Golduck. The duck Pokemon was effortlessly gliding through the waters, forcing Squirtle to improvise on ways to gain speed in order to keep up with the naturally faster water type. Golduck, also being a lot higher leveled than Squirtle, was causing the turtle Pokemon to level up quickly. His attack skills raising and his moveset widening. Eevee was unfortunately paired with an Alakazam. The psychic Pokemon proved to be a devastating opponent against the small fox with his wide range of attacks. Eevee found it hard to pinpoint exactly where Alakazam would be because of the use of teleport. It was really being to irk him. Every time Eevee would think that he had the older Pokemon cornered, one psychic attack would render his efforts useless. It was vexing the small silver fox. However, Alakazam made Eevee rely more on his brain, and the continuous duress that he was under caused Eevee to learn Dark Pulse. This gave Eevee a little more leeway with his planning, and was finally able to hit the other Pokemon. Charmeleon, who had evolved after defeating one of Bill's Vileplumes, was training with an Aerodactyl. The use of the rock-type's wings caused Charmeleon endless vexation. He was forced to put his maximum amount of strength into his attacks so that they would be able to reach and damage the flying type. This caused the lizard to grow braver and slyer during his training. He would prove to Ash that he was strong, because Ash was strong. He wanted to show Ash that he wasn't weak anymore. It was probably why he evolved so fast. Bulbasaur, who had showed up during the first week of training and demanded a battle from Ash, was fighting a Spearow. The flying type was tamed and thus went easier of the grass type, but Bill suggested Bulbasaur start off against someone who had a type advantage against him. While he was high level from protecting the forest, he was still the lowest leveled of Ash's Pokemon, Squirtle coming before him. So, after they grow used to fighting against these Pokemon, we can move on to others. They need a wider move pool as well as being able to think on the fly without waiting for you to tell them to dodge or make an easy attack. And if we are lucky, depending on how long you plan on staying, some of your other Pokemon might evolve also. Ash nods along to Bill's words. His Pokemon were already getting stronger now that they had high-level Pokemon to battle against. And while his Pokemon lost a lot of the battles they were having against Bill's, it was increasing their strength and endurance. He knew that they would need it for the upcoming gym battles. I want them all to have a chance battling against Alakazam. Sabrina is one of my biggest worries. Bills pats Ash's shoulder. I do not blame you there. Now, you should get back to your own training. Ash had confided in Bill about his new ability to use Aura and how he had to try to learn to control it as well as master it. Of course. Walking back towards the shaded tree, Ash sits cross-legged under it, watching his Pokemon train across the beach. He was so proud of them and how far they had come in such a relatively short time. Sending one last soft smile towards them, Ash closes his eyes and begins to concentrate. Ash, Wartortle, Charmeleon, Eevee, Bulbasaur, and Pikachu all sit with Bill as they eat dinner. I think this is going to be our last night here. Bill, who was expecting this, grins at the younger male. Of course, Ash. But I have a present for you. Ash pps his head to the side. A present? Nodding, Bill goes into the room connected to his living room before coming out with an egg. As you know, a couple of weeks before you came here I was visited by the Pokemon I have been trying to contact. It was scared off by Team Rocket however, so I never got the chance to actually meet it. But, it left me this egg. I don't have the time to take care of an egg right now because I have had a breakthrough with my research, so I was wondering if you could take care of it for me. Ash, who gently took the soft blue and white spotted egg from the researcher, gazes down at the delicate object. Do you know what it is going to hatch into? Bill sighs before pinching the bridge of his nose. I have several ideas. It is all very vexing to me. It could really be anything. The egg is much larger than any I have ever seen, probably given the fact that its parent was rather gigantic itself. As of this point I cannot make an accurate guess. But that is what I have you for. Though I am sure that the Pokemon will be larger than others of its kind. You can take care of the egg for me, as well as studying everything that happens during the hatching process. Gently stroking the egg, Ash beckons his other Pokemon to come and welcome it into their small family. Thank you so much, Bill. You have already done so much for us. Bill waves off Ash's worries. Honestly, these past 2 months have been amazing for me. I never get guests, and to have someone as smart as you has helped out a lot. I can see why Professor Oak kept you as his assistant. Blushing, Ash shrugs. It's nothing really. Bill can only shake his head. The small boy before him really has no idea how wonderful he is. It didn't help that he had no human friends growing up, thanks to Gary. But Bill couldn't help but wonder if that was a classical pulling ponytails case or not. Oh well. It was none of his business. Though, Bill thinks to himself glancing over Ash, if he continues to grow into someone as gorgeous as I think he will, I might have to lay a claim to him. But that won't be for some years yet. Quietly standing up, Bill leaves the trainer and his Pokemon to bond with the new egg. Making their way down the gravel path, Ash, Pikachu, Eevee, and Charmeleon were going over battle strategies for the next gym. Wartortle and Bulbasaur were safely in their Pokeballs taking a nap, and the egg was securely nestled in Ash's arms. So, we know that Lieutenant Surge is going to use his Raichu. It is his go-to and most powerful Pokemon. Yeah, which is stupid because he uses Raichu against weaker trainers too. It's pathetic. Charmeleon growls, scowling. Eevee, from his spot on Ash's shoulder, nods empathetically. I agree with Charmeleon. It is horrible how that meanie head uses his most powerful Pokemon against such low-level Pokemon. From what Bill said so far there has been 36 Pokemon taken to Nurse Joy this month alone. He needs to be brought down a peg or two. Yes, both of you are right. But that doesn't answer the question on who is going to battle him. Pikachu pipped up from his spot on his trainer's head. Crossing his arms across his chest, Charmeleon tilts his head to the side and shoots out a weak ember. I want to battle him. Just to show him what it means to take battling seriously. Smiling down at the fire type walking diligently by his side, Ash makes a humming noise. I wanted to save you until we got to the grass gym. I know now that the gym leaders are discussing me, but I want them to at least have to guess about which Pokemon I have with me. If I use you then they will know I have a fire type and might try to find Pokemon within their type range that can combat you. Charmeleon sighs. I know, Ash. I just wish that I could show him not to be such a JRK. Giggling, Ash's amber eyes glance up at Pikachu. Don't worry, Charmeleon. I think I have the perfect plan. His 3 Pokemon eye him curiously, but Eevee only shrugs before climbing down to cuddle with their unborn family member. Walking into the Vermilion Pokemon Center, Ash beams brightly at Nurse Joy. Hi Nurse Joy. The Pinkette looks up towards the young adorable Pokemon trainer walking towards her. Do I know you, young man? Shaking his head, Ash hands over his 3 Pokeballs along with Eevee and Pikachu. No ma'am, but I read that all Nurse Joys worked in the Pokemon centers here in Kanto. Joy nods in understanding before looking down at the Pokemon being handed over to her. Oh wow. A shiny Eevee. Even in my line of work, we rarely ever get any. He is a beauty. Eevee, who had heard the praise, began preening for the nurse. You hear that, Pikachu? I'm a beauty. Pikachu rolls his eyes. You're also touched in the head. Eevee narrows his eyes before pouting at the pretty nurse. Nurse Joy only smiles down brightly at the small fox. Don't worry young man, I will have your Pokemon checked over in a few minutes. Nodding happily, Ash begins to walk towards the waiting area before a young boy comes barreling into the center. Please. Please. Hurry. My Rattata. He's hurt. Ash could only watch, his anger at the Lieutenant Surge growing at the horrible state the small Rattata was in. Getting his Pokemon back from the nurse, Ash heads towards the gym, Pikachu and Eevee faithfully riding on his shoulders. The rest of his team were lying low in their Pokeballs, hoping to give their trainer the advantage in future gym battles by not showing the Pokemon he has. Approaching a giant building with lightning bolts decorated on the front, Ash looks at his two companions. This is it, guys. This is the time to show Lieutenant Surge that he can't bully weaker trainers. Are you two ready? Seeing the two nod, Ash sighs in relief. And you remember the plan, Pikachu? Of course, Ash. I go in and devastate his Raichu. And hopefully it will knock some sense into his head. Ash grins. Then let's do this. Pushing open the gym doors, Ash is greeted with the sight of a man and woman standing at the entrance. Hello, my name is Ash Ketchum and I have come to earn a Thunder Badge. The man sneers down at Ash before turning backwards. Hey boss, we have another victim for the emergency room. The words were so callously spoken and they cause Ash's grip to momentarily tighten around the egg. Breathing to calm himself down as not to hurt the unborn baby, Ash glares at the man. Lieutenant Surge pushes off from against the wall he was leaning on to walk towards the front of the gym. Eyeing the new challenger, he grins impishly. Pinching the scared cheeks, Surge beams. My next challenger's a cute one. But don't think I'll go easy on ya. Ash frees one of his hands so that he can push away Lieutenant Surge. I have come here to earn a Thunder Badge. LT, Surge snorts before noticing the Pikachu, and completely disregarding Eevee, on Ash's shoulder. Ah, a baby Pokemon for a baby trainer. Hey guys. He calls to the two people standing behind him. Look at this, a Pikachu. The three begin to laugh. Amber eyes narrow. There is nothing wrong with my Pikachu. Rolling his eyes, Lieutenant Surge pulls out a Pokeball before tossing it. Raichu. Critically eyeing the newly released Pokemon, Ash begins going over the plans in his head. Everyone knows that electric-type Pokemon are only good if they know all of their electric attacks. It is why you should evolve your Pokemon as soon as you get them. Feeling the familiar anger swell in him, Ash has to restrain his growing aura from lashing out. There is more to raising Pokemon than forcing them to evolve. Yeah, and you would know that if you weren't such a D-dash. Raichu's black eyes narrow on Pikachu. What did you just say about my master? Pikachu stood taller, his cheeks sparking. I said that he was a D-dashed. I guess we are just going to have to wipe the floor with you in a battle so that you can take that back. Snorting, Pikachu turns up his nose at his evolved form. As if. Lieutenant Surge shrugs. I guess you'll learn, baby. Clapping his hands, the lights in the gym. Come on. Walking to his side of the gym, Surge gets into his battle stance. Go, Raichu. Raichu jumps out onto the field. I choose, Pikachu. Pikachu also takes his place on the field. This will be a one-on-one battle. No time limits, begin. Pikachu, use the strategy we planned out. Nodding to let Ash know he heard him, Pikachu quickly jumps into battle. Using agility to quickly outmaneuver Raichu's thunderbolts, Pikachu hit Raichu on the side with an iron tail, causing the taller mouse to cry out in pain. Quick Raichu, use Body Slam now that Pikachu is in reach. Raichu used Body Slam on Pikachu, catching him off guard. Crying out, Pikachu attempted to struggle away from the heavier Pokemon, but Raichu released a powerful thunderbolt onto the smaller Pokemon. Feeling his limbs shake, Pikachu powered up another iron tail, sighing in relief when it caused Raichu to roll off. Pikachu, I know you're hurt, but quick attack. Ignoring his shaking limbs, Pikachu launched into another quick attack, hitting Raichu in the stomach, causing the Pokemon to fall onto its back. Seeing his opportunity, Pikachu used agility to make it back to the other wide of the gym before powering up for a Volt Tackle. Speeding towards the bigger mouse Pokemon, Lieutenant Surge and Raichu were both caught off guard, allowing Pikachu to land his attack. Raichu fainted, causing Pikachu to let out a breath of relief. He won. Ash gently scoops up his oldest friend, using one arm to hold the egg and the other Pikachu. Congratulations, Ash. You showed me that you don't have to make your Pokemon evolve for them to be powerful. Here is a Thunder Badge to prove your victory here. Accepting the badge, Ash pins it next to his other two. Just promise me that you won't send so many trainers' Pokemon to the emergency room. Lieutenant Surge stares down into beautiful amber eyes. Of course, baby. Ash beams at the man, before turning and heading to the Pokemon Center to have Pikachu looked at. Watching the boy leave his gym, Lieutenant Surge grins. The boy might be too young now, but that couldn't stop him from being his friend until he got old enough. Trudging his feet along the sandy road, Ash rubs his eyes tiredly. Today had been long and exhausting for everyone. With their gym battle against Surge, spending even more time at the Pokemon Center so Pikachu could get looked over again, not that Ash was complaining, he knew his little buddy needed it, restocking all of their items, and finally walking for several hours towards Lavender Town. Ash was admittedly tired. The one good thing was Nurse Joy had given Ash an incubator to keep the large light blue egg in. Ash had been getting worried that something could happen to it on their journey. Unconsciously gliding his tanned hand over the pokeballs of his sleeping Pokemon, Ash smiles warmly. Eevee, Wartortle, Charmeleon and Bulbasaur were resting safely in their pokeballs. All the walking was exhausting for the short-legged creatures. Though the little traders liked to make jokes towards him that after they all reached their final evolutions they would be taller than him. Pikachu wiggles around restlessly from his spot atop the silky black head of his trainer. Pikapi, the sun is starting to set, we might want to find a place to set up camp. We don't need you accidentally passing out on us. Stretching his arms above his head and letting out a soft sigh when he feels his joints pop, Ash nods sleepily. I agree. Get off the main road a bit and set up camp in the trees. Nuzzling his red electric pouch against his trainer's cheek, Pikachu lazily wags his zigzag tail. It is a good idea. That way no wandering Pokemon or humans can spot us easily while we sleep and attack us. Gently patting his starter between the ears, Ash walks off of the sandy road and into the darkening woods. Slightly squinting, the sun has begun its slow descent across the skies. The duo attempt to find a place to rest. There really isn't a lot of places to choose from, is there? Yellow and black-tipped ears perk up, trying to listen for any approaching Pokemon while remaining alert for a good campsite. I think I see a small clearing between those trees. Taking Pikachu's advice, Ash advances through the woods, being mindful about where he stepped. It would do them no good if someone managed to twist his ankle. Finally, after a 5-minute walk, the petite trainer stepped through the thick set of trees and into a small open clearing. Good eyesight, Pikachu. Ash complimented his starter, only to frown in confusion when he notices Pikachu's alert expression. What is it, buddy? Pointing a small yellow paw towards a gigantic rock setting at the far end of the clearing, Pikachu frowns. I hear whimpering and crying coming from over there. Not having any reason to doubt his starter, the young Aura Guardian walks towards the rock. The closer he gets causes him to mirror Pikachu's frown. He could hear small cries coming from behind the boulder also. Making his way around the boulder, Ash comes to a stop in complete shock. Sitting in front of him was a baby Cubone crying over the burnt form of a Marowak. Snapping out of his shock, the trainer rushes towards the duo. Oh my Arceus! What happened? Is she okay? The small Cubone that had previously been ignorant to their approach jumps up in fright. Seeing the human in front of her, she holds out her small bone in front of her. I won't let you hurt my mommy anymore. Go away or I'll hurt you. Ash's lips tug downwards. This baby shouldn't have to defend its mother. Heck, he didn't know why the mother was hurt in the first place. The shallow labored breathing coming from the bigger Pokemon, coupled with the burns, was worrisome though. It is okay, little one, I am only here to help. Ash holds his hands up in front of him in a universal non-threatening sign, Pikachu copying his movements. Liar, the two humans did this to my mommy with their zappy stick. Now I have to protect her so she can get better. I promise I am not like those humans, plus I don't have a zappy stick. I honestly just want to help. Ash uncurls his aura from around his body, allowing it to wash over the young Pokemon in a show of trust. Cubone pps her head to the side. The strange tiny human was answering her questions like he could understand. The feeling that washed over her also put her at ease. The bad men came and hurt mommy when she tried to protect me. Now she won't wake up and she is hurt. I don't know what to do. Feeling tears well in her blue eyes again, the tiny creature turns back towards her mother, resting her small cheek against a spot that hadn't been harmed in some way. Approaching the duo, Ash kneels into the dewy grass. Reaching out a small tanned hand, he places it against the mammal's side. Allowing his aura to rush into the other creature, Ash is astounded when he learns of her wounds. It is truly a miracle the Marowak is still alive. She must truly be a fighter. Her body was completely covered in bleeding and peeling burns. Infection had already sank in and was doing its best job of ravaging the ground Pokemon's immune system. That didn't account for the internal damage already done and the numerous broken bones. Ash had only learned how to heal minor scrapes and wounds so far with his aura. This was way out of his experience range. Plus the Pokemon Center was too far away for him to make it in time to save this Pokemon's life. Feeling tears fill his amber eyes, Ash bows his head in defeat. He wished to Arceus that there was something he could do. It didn't seem right to leave this powerful creature to die. Especially when she still had a young one to rise. My chosen. Ash's head snaps up in shock at the voice echoing inside of his head. Arceus? Yes, my chosen. I felt your sadness and please in my realm. What is it you wish? This Marowak has been tortured by two men and left to die all because she was trying to protect her baby. I don't currently have the power to save her. It's not fair. Ash's hands curl into fists before he slams it onto his thigh. This causes the, until then, silent Pikachu to nuzzle his trainer worryingly. Ah yes. Team Rocket. They have proven themselves quite the nuisance in the past couple of years. Team Rocket? Yes, the people that have almost caused this young cub one to be an orphan. Tell me Ash. If I promised to full heal this Marowak, would you in exchange attempt to disband or destroy Team Rocket? Amber eyes shine in determination. Of course. I would do it even if you didn't. This is inhumane and cannot go on. It is sick and disgusting. I will kill them for this. Very well then. We have a deal. I will save this Marowak's life and in return you will put an end to Team Rocket. Do not fail me my chosen. Ash Arceus' voice fades from Ash's head, a soft green light encompasses the ground Pokemon's form. When the light fades, Marowak opens her soft brown eyes, taking in the scene before her. A young trainer with his Pikachu sit kneeling at her side and her baby is staring at her in shock. Mommy? Cub One asks in shock. Yes my beloved? Marowak questions her baby, a slight cloud still covering her mind. Mommy you almost went with Yveltal. Marowak feels her eyes widen in shock at her daughter's softly spoken words before her memories come back to her. She had defended her child from a couple of nasty humans who was kidnapping Pokemon in the area before they had hit her with an electric stick causing her to become paralyzed. Instantly jumping to her feet, the ground Pokemon brandishes her bone in front of her, unknowingly mimicking her daughter's moves from earlier. I will not allow you to harm my child. Internally sighing, but understanding where the mother Pokemon was coming from, Ash once again holds his hands up, Pikachu following suit. I did not come to hurt you, Marowak. I actually helped save you. Brown eyes narrow before the skull Pokemon turns a questioning eye towards her youngling. It's true mommy. He saved you. Plus he can understand what we are saying. Turning back to the petite trainer, Marowak lifts an eyebrow. Is this true? Ash shrugs. For the most part. Arceus actually saved you. But he did so because I promised to destroy Team Rocket who was actually the ones that had did this to you. Both Marowak and Cubone's jaw drops. This is nothing new to Pikachu however. The god of all Pokemon. That Arceus? Nodding again, Ash tilts his head to the side allowing his bangs to fall out of his eyes. Yes ma'am. Mother and daughter both fall on their butts in shock. This human was in contact with Arceus. And had made a deal with the god Pokemon to save the bone Pokemon's life. This was astounding to the two Pokemon. Quickly regaining her footing, Marowak bows low to the trainer in front of her, Cub One following her lead. Is there anything we can ever do to repay you, young one? Ash pps his head to the side. Saving the Marowak was just instinct to him. His mother always taught him to do the right thing. Though thinking of his mother made Ash slightly sad. He knew that she was getting lonely by herself lately. Without him and Pikachu there to keep her on her toes, she only had Professor Oak to keep her company when he wasn't too busy. Wait, that could work. After what happened here today, will you stay here? Marowak shakes her head. No young one. It would not be safe to stay here any longer. Ash suspected as much. How about this, you go back to Pallet Town and keep my mom company. I know she would love to have you two around the house. Especially since having Cub One there would give her someone to spoil while I am out on my journey. Marowak weighs this idea in her head. Fine, but you have to catch me and my daughter. It will prevent future trainers from capturing us and it will allow us to stay together. Ash nods in agreement. That is reasonable. I will have to wait though until we get to the Pokemon Center in Lavender Town though because I already have 5 Pokemon in my party and Professor Oak said that the forms for me to carry more than 6 wouldn't be processed till the end of the week. Marowak and Cub One nod in agreement. This is acceptable. For now let's rest. It is a couple hours walk to the Town of the Dead. Town of the Dead? Pikachu questions. He had been quiet before then hoping to give Ash his space to explain to the 2 new Pokemon what had happened. But he did not like the sound of this town. Yes, we call it this because of all of the ghost Pokemon living there. Also because of the Pokemon Tower. It is where trainers go to bury and pay respect to their deceased Pokemon. Pikachu shivers. He didn't like ghosts. The 4 arrive in Lavender Town around noon that next day. Walking into the Pokemon Center, Ash hands all of his Pokemon, and the 2 bone types, to Nurse Joy to look over. While he waited for her to get back with his friends, Ash took a seat at the phone booth. Dialing Professor Oak's number Ash patiently waited for him to answer. Oh. Good afternoon Ash. How is your journey going? Hello Professor. It is going good. I have a Cub One and Marowak that are being checked up by Nurse Joy right now. They were attacked by Team Rocket. I helped nurse Marowak back to health so they agreed to become my Pokemon. But because Cub One is so young and still needs her mother, I was planning on sending the 2 to my mom to look after for the time being. I called to see if I could transfer the two to her before one of them gets sent to you. While Ash hated bending the truth towards the kindly professor, he knew that he couldn't yet reveal his secret. So far only Bill knew about his aura training, but even he didn't know the full extent. Yes, of course, Ash, that is perfectly fine. Beaming at the older professor, the two chat for a while before Nurse Joy calls Ash over the intercom letting him know his Pokemon are ready. Bidding goodbye to the professor, Ash hangs up the call. Walking across the homely center, Ash approaches the front desk. Here are your Pokemon, young man. They all look great. Smiling in thanks, Ash allows Pikachu to jump onto his shoulder while he clips his Pokeballs to his belt. Picking up Cub1 and motioning for Marowak to follow him, Ash walks back over to the phone booth. Okay guys. Are you ready? Receiving twin nods, Ash gently tosses two Pokeballs. At the instant ding, he picks both ball up and quickly calls his mom. Ash honey. It's good to see you. Have you been changing your underwear every day? Is Pikachu doing okay? Blushing at his mom's enthusiastic greeting, Ash nods before quickly moving on so Delia doesn't have the chance to ask any more embarrassing questions. I just caught a Cub1 and Marowak. They were attacked by Team Rocket and I found them last night. I wanted to know if it was alright to send them to you so that they could keep you company while I am on my journey. Delia beams brightly at her son. That was her Ash, always looking out for others. Of course honey. Placing the two Pokeballs in the transporter, Ash sighs in relief when his mom holds them up from her end of the line. I have them Ash. And I promise to take good care of them. Smiling, the two talk for a couple more minutes before Delia has to get back to her cooking. Plus she informs Ash that she has to get to know her two new house guests. I love you honey. Please don't get to call whenever you can. I love you too Pikachu, take care of our Ash for me. I love you too mom. Of course. He wouldn't know what to do without me. Grinning and waving goodbye to the two, Delia signs off. Well Pikachu. I guess it is just you and me. I hear that there is supposed to be some Team Rocket members in the Pokemon Tower. I think that we need to check it out. The electric mouse shivers. Great. Ghost Pokemon. Giovanni Rocchetto pinches the bridge of his nose in an attempt to stave off the headache he could already feel forming beneath his temples. A vanilla folder sits innocently on his mahogany desk. He already knew the contents the folder would hold, he got one almost weekly now. And as the Rocket boss he had to read every report sent to him, even the annoying ones. Jesse and James, and he supposed Meowth also, had become obsessed with a trainer named Gary and his Growlithe, a Growlithe they promised that was more powerful than the run-of-the-mill puppy Pokemon. Giovanni honestly had no problem with one of his weakest team units making themselves scarce. He was only growing annoyed with their constant contact with him. Inhaling through his nose, Giovanni's dark brown eyes begin to skim over the documents. The handwriting was slightly shaky, leading Giovanni to believe it was Meowth that was writing the reports the team sent to him. What an annoying Pokemon. While it was true Giovanni was a collector of rare and valuable things, and a talking Pokemon most certainly fit that bill, the cat just grates on his nerves. He didn't like listening to the feline speak to him, his voice was like nails down a chalkboard to his sensitive ears. And besides, Giovanni already has a Persian, the evolved form of Meowth. Glancing towards the large cat peacefully sleeping on its bed, Giovanni still marvels at the usual coloring marking his Persian as a shiny. Which to him meant more than Meowth's ability to talk. Returning his gaze to the papers, the Rocket leader flicks a piece of lint off of his expensive orange suit. While the Growlithe did seem powerful, it didn't have anything that made it stand out from the rest of its kind. He honestly would be more impressed if the trio managed to snag him a Vulpix. The Vulpine Pokemon was always a favorite of his, before he obtained Persian that is. Ninetales was majestic in battle, the fire type a truly breathtaking Pokemon. It could also be because he was partial to cat-like Pokemon. Massaging his temples, Giovanni is not surprised when the report ends in their failure, the team stating they would try harder to get the puppy for him. He snorts. The day those three impressed him would be the day Grumpig flew. Glaring at the sudden knocking on his door, the Team Rocket boss calls out a sharp, "Come in." A meek underling nervously steps into his office, the younger criminal's eyes frantically scanning the area. Giovanni smirks, his employees still fear him. "Giovanni, sir." Sharply waving his hand in the air, the Italian glares at the grunt, who was sweating profusely by now. "What? The research is over on New Island called. They told me to tell you it's ready." Smirking, Giovanni stands from his high-backed chair. His experiment was finally ready. Sabrina's long elegant fingers gently slide through the blue hair that belongs to the small girl sitting pristinely on her lap. The girl was a doll Sabrina had made a few years ago when the loneliness began to infest her mind, crying with need of companionship. Sabrina's mind wasn't on that topic however, her thoughts rest solely on the newly awakened aura guardian she could feel in the next town over. It was jarring to the psychic gym leader. From her studies, there has not been an aura guardian since the time of Sir Aaron. It was well known that natural psychics like her and aura guardians were close allies in the old days. Sabrina's feelings were conflicted on this matter. If she were to follow history, it would mean that she had to be civil and open to this new guardian. She has not even had a proper conversation with another human since she began cultivating her powers. Making her mind up, Sabrina decides to keep this new aura user as a toy for Sabra, her lifelike doll. She studiously ignores the hope of meeting someone who could understand her. Her mother could use a companion anyways. Sabra beams brightly down at her lap. Every feeling Sabrina has she would feel also. She could feel her hope and need for companionship. Sabra, while only a doll, has managed to grasp the basic forms of free thought. Though she only supposed she could do this because she was there to help Sabrina in whatever way she could. Sabra makes up her mind. She would make this new mysterious player be friends with her Sabrina. The thought causes her to burst into a peal of giggles. A small ebony-haired boy sits underneath a giant oranberry tree. His team was joyfully playing around the small lake on the outskirts of Route. Amber eyes gaze happily over his friends before closing, long eyelashes gently kissing scarred cheeks. Concentrating on clearing his mind, Ash begins to mentally go over what he has learned in his aura training so far. Being able to communicate with Pokemon was a basic skill all aura guardians were born with. From what he could tell from the lessons slowly being unlocked inside of him, most guardians received a Riolu or Lucario to help them in their journeys in controlling their aura. Ash had the disadvantage of not living in the Sinnoh region where they were native to, which meant Ash didn't have the additional help to control his aura. Sighing, nothing heavier than a gentle huff of air, Ash continues to view Arceus' lessons. While talking to and understanding Pokemon was the basic gift in being an aura guardian, the second one was also ingrained and did not have to be learned. He was immune from psychic power. Whether it be Pokemon or human. A thought Ash did not find as odd as he supposed it should be. It was common knowledge that the gym leader of Saffron City was a natural psychic. Something he had feared when it came to battling her. Sabrina was known to be tough, one of the tougher gym leaders to beat. Many trainers saved her for their 7th gym badge, seeing as you had to have 7 to challenge the Viridian City gym. It was speculated that Sabrina read the minds of her challengers in battle, but with no way to prove it, there was nothing that the league could do. The third ability, and the one the petite trainer was currently working on, was the ability to read emotions. There was no helpful tips when it came to this. Ash didn't know if they would present themselves in the form of colors or if he would be able to feel others' emotions as his own. It was all beginning to grow very vexing to the young guardian. Concentrating on the blue energy that Ash knew was his aura, he slowly opens his eyes and looks towards his Pokemon. Trying to force his aura to show him their emotions, Ash begins to sweat lightly along his hairline, his breath becoming labored. After several minutes, Ash lets go of his aura, bringing his tanned hand up to rub between his eyes. He didn't know what he was doing wrong. Or what to do PRD. This was one of those lessons that Arceus was making him learn for himself, the SDST. Grumpily pouting, the petite trainer crosses his arms across his chest and watches his Pokemon. Bulbasaur, bless his heart, was battling Charmeleon. The grass Pokemon had begged the fire type for a match until the lizard had eventually agreed. Charmeleon was scared that he would hurt Bulbasaur, and he knew Ash wasn't at the point in his training that he could heal them without trouble. Eevee and Pikachu were cheering their brothers on while Wartortle was laid out in his back in the water, happily soaking up the sun's rays. A small smile steals across Ash's slightly rounded face. When he was young, and before meeting Pikachu, Ash never dreamed that he would have so many people to love and care for. While Ash could have tried to make friends that didn't care about the rumors Gary spread, the truth was being around other humans that he didn't know or that weren't professionals made him uncomfortable. His mom had told him it was probably due to him being introverted as well as a form of social anxiety. Ash just didn't like being around people. Pokemon were fine though. It confused Ash, but he wasn't going to dwell on it. The only bad thing was that if he continued on his journey, which he was defiantly going to do, he would be forced to deal with being around big groups of people. He was calm when it came to knowing he would face off against Team Rocket, the group consisting of criminals that he had vowed to take down, but he was nervous for when it came to having to battle trainers in the Indigo League. There would be hundreds of people at places like those. Hundreds of people that would stare at him, talk to him, maybe even attempt to touch him. It made his heart race. He could deal with some people if there was only one or two, but a whole group of them was enough to make the 10-year-old panic. Breathing deeply through his nose, Ash clears his head of his thoughts. He wouldn't have to worry about that for a while now. Twisting around in his sitting position, Ash gently grabs the incubator containing the unborn member of his family. Deftly unscrewing the top, Ash carefully lifts the egg from its resting place. The large baby blue egg felt warm against his skin, a sign the egg could be preparing to hatch. Caressing the smooth shell, Ash pours a tiny bit of his aura into the egg, just enough to show the unborn baby that it was safe and would come to no harm. He was shocked when he felt a gentle, barely there push against his own skin. Just strong enough to be felt before fading away again. Staring down in surprise, the young aura guardian suddenly beams. This baby was going to be powerful. Night has fallen, the moonlight casting a faint glow across the clearing they were camping in. Eevee, Wartortle, Charmeleon, and Bulbasaur were already steadfastly fast asleep, curled up in a pile around each other. Pikachu and Ash sit beside the lake, Ash's amber eyes glaring morosely at the reflected moon on the water's surface. Nurse Joy said to go to the Pokemon house before heading to the Pokemon Tower. I know I should take her advice, but I'm nervous about being around so many people. Pikachu, who was leaning into his friend's side, felt his ears twitch in sympathy. I know Pikapi. But you have been so good about being around others lately. I know it's only been either professionals or some random trainer, but you are doing so much better than you used to. Remember when you couldn't even go to Professor Oak's with Mom without having a panic attack? Now look at you. Ash beams down at his yellow companion. It was true. Just being around people that weren't. His mom made him a nervous wreck. However, with the help of his then Piku, Ash slowly was able to handle being around others. Something Delia would forever be thankful towards the electric mouse for. I know Pikachu. It's just, with everything happening so fast lately I haven't had time to process it. But now that I have had time to think about it, it's just starting to worry me. Ash finishes his sentence in a defeated tone, self-disgust coating his words. Scowling, the yellow mouse sends a tiny jolt of electricity at his trainer. Not enough to be painful but enough to catch his attention. Now you listen here, Ash. I, and all the rest of the team, have faith in you. We have all put in our best. We have all trained hard under you. We have done everything you have asked of us. We have all grown strong. And we are not the only ones who have grown strong. You have too, Ash. Both mentally and psychically. You are an amazing trainer. I know social anxiety is not something you can just miraculously beat, but you have all of us by your side. We will never let anything happen to you. You just have to trust us. Pikachu finishes his speech, his tiny fist waving wildly in the air and his chest rising and falling heavily. He meant every word that he had said to Ash. He, and all of Ash's Pokemon, counted on him to be strong and help them become strong. They would support Ash in whatever way they could. Looking down at his longest friend, Amber eyes begin to fill with tears. He knew his team loved him, but knowing just exactly what they thought of him was heartwarming. Ash picks up his starter and presses his wet face into the soft fur. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pikachu. Pikachu softly cards his paws through the silken hair of his trainer. Of course, Pikapi. We love you. Forever. Forever. Is Ash's wet reply. Ash enters the Pokemon house with Pikachu on his left shoulder and Eevee cuddled up in his arms. Pikachu had decided early that morning that the two should be the ones to accompany their trainer, Eevee, because the smaller Pokemon would give Ash something to do with his hands, and Pikachu because he has a phobia of Pokeballs. Hello? Is anyone here? Ash calls out, glancing around the airy open space. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. A small girl, with her light red hair pulled up into two puffy pigtails, opens a door from the back of the room. Hello. Did you call? Yes. My name is Ash Ketchum. Nurse Joy told me I needed to visit here before I went to the Pokemon Tower. Ash replies, gently scratching Eevee under his chin. The small girl nods. Do you know what this place is? Ash sadly shakes his head. He has never come across this place in any of his readings. One of the reasons coming here had freaked him out so bad. He was used to knowing things. He had studied extensively before his journey, his eidetic memory allowing him to retain all knowledge he learned. The pale girl, sensing the unease of the other, gives him a gentle smile. This is the place where orphaned or abandoned Pokemon are taken care of. Abandoned Pokemon? Ash didn't like the sound of that. It reminded him too much of his precious Charmeleon and his previous trainer Damien. Ash was pleased when Professor Oak had told him Damien had been taken into custody, his Pokemon confiscated, and was currently going through a rehabilitation course. The redhead nods her head glumly. Yes. Follow me and I'll show you. Following the girl back through the door she had previously entered through, Ash's amber eyes gaze sorrowfully at all of the Pokemon being taken care of. I didn't realize there was so many abandoned Pokemon. Yes. This is actually Mr. Fuji's house. He remodeled it like this so that there would be facilities to take care of the Pokemon. So many people here love him and what he does that they volunteer here to help him out. I'm actually a volunteer. My name is Rana. Giving Rana a small grin, Ash glances over at the Pokemon. I want to meet him and tell him how much I respect him for all that he does. Rana's brown eyes become downcast. That's just it, nobody dash. Her sentence is cut off when a man suddenly throws open the door, causing Ash to jump. I know where Mr. Fuji is. Someone saw him go into the Pokemon Tower. Another lady, who was rubbing aloe vera into an Odisha's leaves, sneers. And I bet Team Rocket is the reason he can't get out. Team Rocket? Yeah, I hear that they are stationed in the Pokemon Tower. I bet Mr. Fuji went there to convince them to leave the Pokemon there in peace. Ash shares a look with Pikachu and Eevee. The trio were all thinking the same thing. Walking through the levels of the Pokemon Tower, Ash is surprised that they haven't come across any members of Team Rocket yet. I would have thought that they would have popped up by now. Charmeleon, who was using his tail fire to lead the way, snorts. You know these types, Ash, they're cowards. I wouldn't doubt if they were all holed up in the top level. You're probably right as usual, Charmeleon. Those cowards probably didn't want to deal with whatever ghost Pokemon are floating around and made it to where it is relatively ghost-free. If there was one thing Ash couldn't stand, it was a coward. And Team Rocket seemed to be only composed of cowards. They hid behind their own Pokemon while stealing Pokemon from others because they were too lazy to get their own. It was sickening. It made Ash nauseated to his stomach thinking about all the Pokemon that were terrified for their lives and that missed their trainers. Team Rocket would pay. Well, we are on level 5 now, the top level is level 6, so once we head up those stairs I want all of you to be ready for battle. Pikachu, who had been nervously darting his black eyes around the creepy tower, nods his head resolutely. Of course, Pikapi. We are going to show those hooligans why they shouldn't be so cruel. Reaching up to rub Pikachu between his furry ears, Ash smiles at the bravery of the small electric type. The petite trainer knew Pikachu hated ghosts, evident in the way his small body would momentarily freeze at every shift of a shadow, but he bravely held his small head high. Ascending the final level of stairs, the petite trainer sneers in disgust. 3 Team Rocket members were lazing about. An older gentleman, who Ash assumed to be Mr. Fuji, was tightly bound with duct tape placed over his mouth. By the gaunt appearance of the man, Ash knew Team Rocket wasn't playing good host to him. What a pathetic group of cowards. Ash's voice is dripping with disdain. These were the monsters that had hurt Marowak? A green-haired member jumps to his feet, swiftly followed by his 2 cohorts. Who are you, kid? Tilting his chin higher and standing his ground, the amber-eyed trainer glares at the 3. My name is Ash Ketchum and I'm here to stop you. The green-haired trainer blinks in shock before his entire body is overpowered with mirth. Haha, like a wimpy trainer, like you could do anything. A Pikachu, Charmeleon, and Eevee? Ha! You don't stand a chance. Gritting his teeth in frustration, Ash grabs the bill of his hat and yanks it to face the back of his head. Then battle me. Grinning maliciously, the trainer unclips 3 ball from his belt, chuckling darkly when his 2 companions follow suit. Go! Pokeballs. Standing in front of Ash is 3 Zubat, a Raticate, 3 Coughing, a Rattata, and a Weezing. Glaring at the cheating trio, Ash releases Wartortle and Bulbasaur. He might be at a disadvantage in numbers, but his Pokemon were specially trained. I can't thank you enough, young man. Without you, who knows what could have happened to me. Or this town. I know Team Rocket was poaching the Pokemon around us too, but now that you have trounced them so thoroughly they might not come back. Ash awkwardly scratches the back of his head, not knowing what to do in the situation he has been placed in. Mr. Fuji was excited at the defeat of Team Rocket and has been praising the young trainer for a while now. Oh, I know you probably are done listening to this old man pander on. I was thinking on how I could repay you. He effortlessly ignores Ash's yelped protest, and now that I have seen how deep and wonderful your bond is with your Pokemon, I want to give you this. Mr. Fuji slides over a small box. Ash, not wanting to insult the old man and genuinely curious, opens the lid. In the box were 2 stones. One bigger than the other, but both were oddly colored. He has never seen anything like them before. I know you're probably curious as to what these are. Well, I can tell you that you won't be finding out for a while. I suggest you keep them on you. Though you won't be able to use them for at least a few years, when the time comes at least you will have them. Ash opens his mouth in order to politely deny the gift, but the old man wasn't falling for it. Nope. They are yours now. I don't need them. Also, I would give you Flute, but seeing as some kid named something or other took my last one, I want to gift you with a Pokemon. Amber eyes widen, tanned hands waving fanatically in front of the wrinkled older man. Said man only smiles crookedly at the youth. There is no use in denying me. Pulling a Pokeball from the inside of his coat pocket, Mr. Fuji drops it into Ash's startled hands. You will be facing Sabrina next, right? This Pokemon is a ghost type and should be able to help in the gym. I just caught it before Team Rocket captured me. He was causing mischief in the lower levels of the tower. Looking down at the Pokeball laying innocently in his hands, Ash groans. Of course, Mr. Fuji. Thank you. Mr. Fuji grins at the young trainer. Of course, Ash. Run along now. It is a couple days' walk to Saffron City. Sliding the wooden box into a pocket of his backpack and clipping the newly acquired Pokemon to his belt, Ash waves goodbye to the old man. Mr. Fuji's eyes trail after the young man. He shared such a deep bond with his Pokemon. He knew if anyone would be able to tame the Pokemon he gifted him as well as figure out the secret to the stones, it would be him. He had faith that the ebony-haired youth would do him proud. Ash and his team sit in a small circle eating their respected lunches. While in Lavender Town, Nurse Joy had allowed the young trainer access to the kitchen so he was able to cook enough Pokemon food to last a few weeks. Ash, why haven't you let out the new Pokemon that old man gave you? Wartortle asks his trainer curiously. Pikachu had informed the entire group of the exchange between the two and they were curious to who their new team member was. Shrugging uncomfortably, Ash picks at his food. I just feel like I'm cheating the Pokemon. They probably didn't even want to get captured and now here they are. Getting forced on a journey with me. Bulbasaur snorts before using a vine to gently thump Ash upside the head. Please, Ash. We all know that if the Pokemon doesn't want to go on the journey with us you will let it go. Yeah. If there is one thing we have all learned it is that you will never do something that you know we wouldn't want. Charmeleon says resolutely. His trainer was truly a blessing. Charmeleon knew that if Ash was different or if he had a different trainer his attitude would have changed greatly upon evolving. His need to prove himself would have grown and festered until he became someone no trainer or Pokemon would want to be around. But Ash, kind, sweet, gentle, Ash showered Charmeleon with affection and helped him become stronger. He was a great leader. Yeah. So let out our possible newest family member. I want to meet M. Eevee exclaims excitably, jumping around with food still hanging from his mouth. Scrunching his nose in disgust at the display, Pikachu uses a weak Thundershock on the fox-like Pokemon. Eevee glares at the electric mouse but doesn't retaliate. It was known between all the Pokemon that Pikachu was the strongest on the team. Fine, fine. If it will get all of you to stop complaining. Though his words sound rough, the teasing note dissipates any hard feelings. Unclipping the ball from his belt, and nervously casting his friends a glance, Ash tosses the Pokeball into the middle of the group. A 4 feet 11 inches purple ghost-type Pokemon emerges from the ball blinking its red eyes in confusion. Looking around, the ghost immediately spots the only human. How dare you, human, catch me? The amazingly handsome and dashingly powerful Gengar. All of Ash's team freeze in shock before howling in amusement. The way Gengar had used his stubby arms to throw the most dramatic poses was enough to make them cry. Ash could only look on in shock. Answer me, human, and equally as delusional Pokemon. What makes you think someone as majestic as myself would be captured? Rubbing the bridge of his nose, Ash could only hope this didn't end in an unfair 5-on-1 fight. His friends hated when someone insults them, they loathed when someone insults their trainer. Gengar groans in bliss, happily stuffing his face with more of the Pokemon food Ash had given him. After a bit of a rough start, and a surprisingly hot ember to the butt, Gengar and the rest of the team had come to an understanding. Ash, who Gengar thought was too little for his age, had patiently explained what had happened and how he came to possess the Pokeball that held the ghost type. The other Pokemon stood behind their trainer, glowering and giving off a very mess with our trainer and we will rearrange your face type vibe. If there was one thing the purple Pokemon knew it was not to PSS off so many different Pokemon at once. So he had listened to the amber-eyed trainer. He had given Gengar the chance to leave, as well as explaining what would be expected of him if he stayed. He likes the kid's spunk. It didn't hurt that his other Pokemon were shinning with health and, thanks to his ghost-type powers, were stronger than the average one of their species. And they all had a drive to prove themselves. Gengar knew they would go far. It was why he decided to stay with the kid, for now. If he proved that he couldn't handle his awesomeness then he would leave. I've got to say, kid, this is some of the best stuff I have ever tasted. Gengar meant it too. Ash chuckles awkwardly, using his right hand to sheepishly scratch against his cheek. Well, I wanted to be able to take care of any Pokemon that joined me on my journey. Plus I love food. Red Eyes glanced down towards the plate holding 3 sandwiches sitting pristinely in the kid's lap. He wasn't kidding. For a scrawny little fella he sure could put a lot away. Heh. You aren't too bad, kid. Pikachu, who was silently watching the exchange with the rest of the team, took that moment to speak up. You say that now. Just wait until tomorrow when he starts training with you. After he adds those weights you'll feel like dying. Snorting, Charmeleon glances towards his own weights innocently resting by the base of the tree. Ash did not joke around when it came to training. After evolving, the trainer upped the weights 20 pounds. The red lizard Pokemon's muscles were still aching. It was a sentiment the entire group shared. It can't be that bad. Maybe you just can't handle the pressure. But don't worry about me, my muscles bulge and I am incredibly amazing. Gengar takes the moment to flex his stubby arms. Coughing to cover his laugh, Wartortle grins maliciously. He could not wait for the loud-mouthed ghost type to be forced to eat his own words. The turtle Pokemon knew personally how much like hell it felt to have a weight strapped around your body, making it more difficult to move. It was what was making him faster, especially when the weights came off. I can't wait to see all that big talk be put to the test tomorrow. I know Ash was planning on heading to the gym tomorrow, but the week we are taking off to make you catch up with us will be more than worth it. If the other Pokemon agreed with Bulbasaur, they didn't show it. Though they were a lot better at hiding their masochistic tendencies. Bulbasaur was also thankful for the week-long extra training session because it would give him more time to battle Charmeleon. While the grass type knew he could never build an immunity towards the other, he was getting better at being able to handle the heat exerted from a flamethrower. Ash, who was stroking Eevee's fur with a combing brush, jolted slightly. Twisting around to reach into his backpack, the 10-year-old pulls out the red Pokédex Professor Oak had given to him. I completely forgot about this. It slipped my mind because I already know the basics of your species that I never thought to scan you. Plus Professor Oak gave Dexter an update. Do you guys mind if I scan you? All of his Pokemon, including Gengar, nod in agreement. They were curious about the new update. Throwing a dimpled smile towards his team, Ash pointed the Pokédex at Pikachu first. Pikachu, the electric mouse Pokemon. It can generate electric attacks from the pouches located on its cheeks. Level 47. Ability, static with the hidden ability Lightning Rod. Moves known, Tail Whip, Thundershock, Growl, Quick Attack, Thunder Wave, Feint, Double Team, Spark, Discharge, Slam, Thunderbolt, Iron Tail, Agility. This Pokemon has the Egg move Focus Punch that has not been unlocked yet. Wow, Pikachu! I didn't know you had an Egg move. That will be awesome in battle later. Pikachu only smirks at his longtime friend. Grinning in excitement, Ash scans Eevee next. Eevee, the evolution Pokemon. This Pokemon can evolve into a variety of different types. Level 39. Ability, adaptability with the hidden ability Anticipation. Moves known, Dark Pulse, Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Helping Hand, Swift, Quick Attack, Double Edge, Takedown, Baton Pass, Body Slam, Headbutt, and Shadow Ball. This Pokemon has the Egg move Curse that has not been unlocked yet. I'm almost caught up to your level, Pikachu. Eevee shouts, bouncing around happily. Rolling his eyes in fond amusement, Pikachu flicks his tail slightly at the younger Pokemon. Watching the display fondly, the trainer points Dexter at Charmeleon next. Charmeleon, the flame Pokemon. This Pokemon is known for its love to battle. If the flame goes out on its tail, it will die. Level 31. Ability, Blaze and the hidden ability Solar Power. Moves known, Ember, Growl, Scratch, Smokescreen, Dragon Rage, Scary Face, Fire Fang, Flame Blast, Bite, Metal Claw, Dragon Pulse, Dragon Claw, Flamethrower, Protect. This Pokemon has the Egg move Focus Punch which it has not unlocked yet. Softly smiling at the pleased look on the fire type's face, Ash quickly moves on to Wartortle. Wartortle, the turtle Pokemon. This Pokemon has a tough shell that it can retreat into to help lessen the effects of attacks. Level 29. Ability, Torrent with the hidden ability Rain Dish. Moves known, Tackle, Tail Whip, Water Gun, Withdraw, Bubble, Bite, Rapid Spin, Protect, Water Pulse, Rain Dance, Hidden Power. This Pokemon has the Egg move Mirror Coat that has not been unlocked yet. Nodding his head in approval, Ash points his Pokédex at Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur, the seed Pokemon. This Pokemon has a giant bulb on its back that it can use to release different types of powders and aromas. Level 24. Ability, Overgrow with the hidden ability Chlorophyll. Moves known, Tackle, Growl, Leech Seed, Vine Whip, Poison Powder, Sleep Powder, Takedown, Razor Leaf, Sweet Scent, Growth, Bind, Endure, Giga Drain, Protect, Solar Beam. This Pokemon has the Egg move Charm that has not been unlocked yet. Beaming at his toughest member, Ash moves on to his newest. Gengar, the shadow Pokemon. If this Pokemon is close by, you will feel a chill run down your back. It is known to play pranks. Level 31. Ability, Levitate. Moves known, Hypnosis, Lick, Spite, Mean Look, Nightshade, Confuse Ray. This Pokemon has the Egg move Fire Punch that has not been unlocked yet. Okay, so you all have a pretty good move pool. But by the time we are done with this week I want you, Jengar, to have learned some more moves. Your pool is too shallow. We do not want that to be taken advantage of. Everyone else, it is grinding time. We are upping weights and really going to put all of our effort into this. While the other Pokemon cheered along with Ash, Jengar couldn't help but think of what he got himself into. Anime tears. Big, fat, gigantic anime tears were spewing from the corners of Jengar's eyes. Why? Why? Why did he have to choose such a sadistic trainer? Come on Jengar. All you have to do is beat your fastest time and then you can take a break. Easy dash, Jengar wheezes, struggling to breath, for you to say. Sighing, Ash looks down at the small stopwatch resting in his palm. Jengar. The area is only 200 meters. Everyone else finished theirs in only 20 seconds. You are struggling to make it in 46. But I also have weights on. Weights. The ghost Pokemon continues to complain as his stumpy legs begin shaking with overexertion. Pinching the bridge of his nose, amber eyes glare at the purple Pokemon. And I told you to fly instead of run. But you decided not to listen to me. Stopping to catch his breath, Jengar greedily SCKS in the oxygen around him. He knew Ash repeatedly told him to fly instead of run, but the way the other Pokemon were looking at him made him want to push himself harder. They were all so strong, running with their heavier weights in a faster time than Jengar could manage. It hurt his pride. Back at the tower he was used to being the strongest, the best. He was the only fully evolved Pokemon there. And now, Jengar bemoaned silently, now I can barely keep up with only 15 pounds strapped around me. Moving from his spot against a pecha berry tree, Ash makes his way across the small clearing until he is kneeling in front of the depressed Pokemon, unmindful of the dirt staining his jeans. Stroking the ghost type gently behind the ear, Ash pours some of his aura into the newest member of his team until he calms down. It is not fair to compare yourself to the others, they have been with me longer and have had time to get used to this type of training. It is only your third day. I have faith in you that you will get better. You just have to have faith in yourself. Now, Ash beams, dimples showing, why don't you show me those huge muscles you were bragging about? Crimson eyes glow in newfound determination. If Ash believed he could do it, then by Giratina he would. Mutwo effortlessly tosses aside a challenger's Raticate. Was this his life? Was this what his entire existence was going to amount to? Remaining stationary and battling weaker Pokemon? Tilting his head, Mutwo contemplates. Maybe he was stronger because he was a clone? Because he was created? And what was that mysterious energy he felt spiking every now and then? He knew it was coming from the northeast, but that was all he was able to discern so far. Mutwo, let us take our leave. Amethyst-colored eyes flicker towards the orange-clad man. His partner. He would ponder these questions another day. Jumping up and down in elation, Ash gesticulates his arms wildly. Good job, Jengar. You did it. Beaming in pride, Jengar flexes his, admittedly weak, muscles. Oh yeah baby. You know it. Eevee, who was cheering the ghost type along while the other Pokemon trained, jumps into the stubby arms of the ghost type. Yay! I am so proud of you, brother. Now you can show all those Pokemon who is the meanest of them all. Twirling the silver-colored fox around in a circle, Jengar's crimson eyes sparkle with happiness. He had managed to beat his time. And by a complete 6 minutes. I told you you could do it. Ash wraps his skinny arms around the laughing duo. Now we just need to work on giving you a bigger move pool. I was thinking we could start learning Thunderbolt and Shadow Claw by the time we head for Saffron City. Eevee licks his newest brother on the cheek, ignoring the whine Jengar let out. I am sure Pikachu will help you with Thunderbolt. Jengar shivers. He felt like the yellow mouse still had it in for him. Maybe he would show how harmless he was with a few pranks. Sabra stands between two towering elm trees silently watching the young Pokemon trainer make his way through the woods, towards her city, with his Pokemon. Tossing her ball gently between her pale hands, Sabra ponders the best way to approach this trainer. He was traveling with all of his Pokemon out, which gave the small doll the perfect opportunity to see which ones he had. And luckily for him, and her, the young Aura Guardian has a Jengar. Normally she would have approached the young trainer, but with the ghost type by his side she could not risk it. Sighing sadly, Sabra pouts cutely down at her ball, her gigantic hat casting a shadow over her eyes. She would just have to wait to officially meet her Sabrina's future friend when he arrives at the gym. Giggling, Sabra casts one last look before turning around and running off into the forest. Finally entering Saffron City, amazed amber eyes gaze around at all the buildings. Wow, have you guys ever seen anything like it? Pikachu, who was resting on his usual spot on Ash's shoulder, shakes his head in awe. No Pikapi. Look at all the buildings. They are so tall. Giggling, Eevee nuzzles his soft head against Ash's chest. I was only just hatched when Professor Oak gave me to you. I have never seen anything like it either. I bet there is so many places to visit and see. Smirking mischievously, Jengar dances a jig from his spot floating above his trainer's hat-clad head. I usually stuck near the tower, but there is a lot of people to prank here. They never stood a chance against the awesomeness that was my pranks. Ebony eyes glare at the floating ghost type. Don't think Charmeleon or I have forgiven you yet for tricking us into eating rocks. Wartortle hasn't forgotten about the Beedrill incident either. Snickering, Jengar flashes the yellow mouse an innocent smile, ignoring the eye rolls from Eevee and Ash. Over the past week the team had learned that Jengar loved pranks. He disguised 2 rocks to look like orange berries, which he then gave to Pikachu and Charmeleon. The 2 Pokémon were baffled at the show of generosity but still attempted to eat the berries, which ended in sore teeth and Jengar on the receiving end of a dual-action Thunderbolt and Flamethrower. Wartortle was another unfortunate victim of the sneaky ghost type. Jengar had tricked the water Pokémon into going into a Beedrill nest to get honey, only to be attacked by the hidden angered bug types when they realized what was happening. It finally took several powerful flamethrowers to get the agitated Pokémon to retreat. Bulbasaur got off Mildy compared to the rest. He woke up floating in the middle of the small lake on nothing more than a tiny plank that was barely keeping him afloat. Not that those were the only pranks Jengar pulled, but they were the most memorable ones. The only people that didn't get pranked was Eevee and Ash. Ash, the Pokémon assumed, because he was their trainer and would not be scared to make Jengar run extra laps, and Eevee because the small silver fox spent a lot of time with the purple Pokémon. It's not my fault you guys made it so easy. Jengar smirks. He might be the weakest physically on the team, but that didn't mean he wasn't the sneakiest. Ash, wanting to stop the argument before it could become a full-blown fight, points towards the oddly shaped gym. Look guys! It is the Saffron City gym. If we beat Sabrina then we can get a marsh badge. But who are you going to use to battle? I know you have it between me, Eevee and Jengar, but you haven't chosen one of us yet. Pikachu questions his longtime friend. Stroking Eevee's long ears, Ash contemplates. Well, you are the strongest on my team, so you could try to take her Pokémon out with sheer power, but with the way Professor Oak was talking about the gym leaders I don't know if that would even work. Eevee has had training with Bill's Alakazam and knows some dark-type moves that could be helpful. The only problem is Eevee lost all his battles against Alakazam because of teleport and only just started landing hits right before we left. Jengar would be the obvious choice because of his type along with the fact he can disappear and reappear at will, but he doesn't have the training the rest of you have. So I guess which one of you wants to battle her? Hurriedly cutting in before the other 2 could, Jengar quickly blurts out, I want to battle her. The others have had the chance to prove how strong they are, now it is my turn. Plus like you said I have a type advantage. Reaching out to grab one of Jengar's small hands, Ash opens his mouth to speak but is interrupted. If you are trying to enter the Pokémon League, young man, this is one gym I suggest you stay away from. Turning on his heel, Ash comes face to face with a bearded older man. What is that supposed to mean? Ash demands. He hates when people suggest his Pokémon are weak. He knows that most trainers his age don't really bother to train their Pokémon, thus resulting in them doing poorly in battle, but it makes him so angry when people just assume all young trainers are like that. Even Eevee is slightly growling, Pikachu's cheeks are sparking, and Jengar is glowering at the jogging male. Sabrina is known to be tough. You are just better off going to one of the non-major gyms to get a badge. The man says nonchalantly. He didn't want to see another young trainer hurt. His daughter has lost herself. She was ruthless and cruel. And this seems like such a nice young kid. Well, just because I am young doesn't mean I am weak. I have trained my Pokémon to the very best of my abilities and they are strong because of that. The man's shadowed eyes glance over his 3 Pokémon. Your Pokémon are not even in their Pokeballs, young man. Silently hissing, Amber Eyes spit venom at the older man. That doesn't mean anything. I like to keep them out and they like it too. Just wait, I will get the marsh badge and you will see. Grimacing, the man turns and begins jogging away. Jengar, in revenge for the way the man talked about his trainer and his new brothers, used his ghost-type abilities to trip the man, snickering when the embarrassed male falls on his face. Quickly standing and dusting himself off, he resumes his jogging, but before he is out of sight he calls over his shoulder, "We'll see, kid. We will see." Glaring as he watches the man jog away, Ash turns back towards the gym and begins to angrily stomp his way towards the glass doors, muttering under his breath. Eevee, Jengar, and Pikachu exchange looks. They have never seen Ash that mad before. Not even Pikachu. It's okay, Pikapi. We will show him. His other 2 Pokémon nod their heads in agreement. We have to challenge Sabrina. We have to have a marsh badge in order to enter the Pokémon League. Entering through the doors, Ash glances around at the orange walls, noting the distinct lack of people. Hello? Ash calls out. Is anyone here? Not getting a reply, the Blackette shrugs his shoulders, careful of Pikachu, and begins making his way down one of the twisting passageways. After a couple minutes of walking, the four happen upon a door. Peeking through the small glance window, Ash pps an eyebrow when he notices people going through a variety of physic tricks. Kid! What are you doing here? Letting out a surprised gasp, Ash turns towards the heavily accented voice. A man with long brown hair pulled back into a ponytail, and oddly enough a medical mask covering his face, is standing in front of him. We've come to ask for a Pokemon match so that we could try to earn a Marsh badge. Scowling at the young cocky trainer, Freyasure begins his tirade. You want to challenge the great Sabrina? Glaring when the trainer and his Pokemon nod, Freyasure pulls a spoon from his white lab coat and begins to concentrate his minimal psychic powers on it. Feeling them sluggishly work towards bending the spoon, Freyasure sighs in relief when it bends slightly. Flushed, but proud, the brunette holds the spoon out. You cannot control a psychic-type Pokemon without having telekinetic powers. Humming, Ash plucks the spoon from the man's fingers. That's what you think. Calming his mind, Ash manipulates his aura to bend the spoon in half. What? Freyasure bellows, grabbing the kid by his jacket and roughly shaking him. How could you, a kid, manage what I couldn't? What type of psychic powers do you have? Pikachu, not liking how the man was roughly handling his friend, sends a thundershock towards the brunette, watching in satisfaction when he lets go and momentarily drops to the floor. I would appreciate if you did not grab me again. My Pokemon are very protective. Ash states, soothingly petting Eevee who had been shaken up. And it wasn't physic powers, if you must know. Freyasure, who had picked himself up, sneers down at the kid. Then what was it? My secret. Ash smirks. Now, please take me to Sabrina so that I can have a match. Very well. Freyasure states. Sabrina will wipe the floor with a kid like this. Leading the young trainer and his Pokemon through the winding halls of the gym, he pushes open a set of double doors leading to the battling arena. The gym room had the classical field, but there was torches sitting at either side of a shielded spot at the end of the field. Walking up towards the steps, Freyasure kneels down. Sabrina, this trainer wishes to battle you. Though I do not know why you would waste your time with such a loser. He begins to cackle, surely Sabrina would see how great he was and how much he cared for her after saying this. Ash watches as a light goes on, illuminating the small sectioned-off room. A small girl dressed in a white and pink dress with a matching hat is shown through the blinds. The girl's eyes begin glowing blue as she captures the man in her psychic powers. Please, Freyasure croaks, struggling to breath. Forgive me. It is not my place to decide who can battle you, Great One. Screaming in fright, Freyasure scrambles from the room when Sabrina releases her hold on him. Watching as the man runs from the run, and deciding it wasn't worth it, Ash turns back towards Sabrina. Sabrina, my name is Ash Ketchum and I request an official match from you. Giggling bounces off the walls. I accept your challenge but, the high-pitched girlish voices demands, if you lose then you have to be my friend and let me play with you. Sabrina glances down curiously at Sabra. While Sabra has made such demands in the past, it is usually given to other girls. Sabra loves playing dress-up and dolls. Though Sabrina could not find it too odd, her emotions must be bouncing off of her and toward Sabra. The small doll could have felt her anger at the idiot who insulted the Aura Guardian. While she didn't know how she would react towards him, she did not suspect such protectiveness. Be your friend? Ash muses. His aura was telling him something was off about the little girl, he just doesn't know what. Of course I will be your friend. While he does not know why his aura is acting all funky, if a small child was requesting for him to be her friend, he could not refuse. The shades raise quickly and it is shown that the small girl is sitting on someone's lap. The older girl has deep blue eyes and dark green hair and was wearing a strange red dress with huge gold buttons. So, the battle begins. Using her psychic powers to lift herself from her chair, Sabrina floats onto the field, holding Sabra in her arms. Coming into the light, Sabrina finally has a clear view of the other. He was about 4 feet 6 inches, with amber eyes and his spiky black hair is covered with an official league Pokemon hat. His slim body was clothed in slightly baggy jeans and a black t-shirt with a cut-off jacket over it. His tennis shoes are just beginning to show their continuous wear. His tan skin highlights the scars on his cheeks. A Pikachu is resting on his shoulder and a shiny Eevee is held securely in his arms. One-on-one, an all-out match, agreed? Sabrina states, coming out of her evaluation of the young guardian. Ash nods in agreement, ignoring the way his aura kept tugging at him. Agreed. Slightly dipping her head, Sabrina allows Sabra to use their psychic powers to gently drop her Pokeball onto the ground. Go, Abra. An Abra, huh? Go Jengar. Jengar, who had previously been invisible, appears in front of Abra on the field. Are you ready to lose to the awesomeness that is me? Jengar boasts extravagantly before sweat dropping when he notices Abra is asleep. What? Are you seriously asleep right now? Growling angrily, Jengar sends a thunderbolt towards the psychic Pokemon. Sabrina, who was surprised at the ghost type's appearance, uses her powers to wake Abra, causing both of their eyes to glow red. Abra, waking up, teleports away from the attack and appears on the other side of the field. Jengar watches as the Abra evolves into a Kadabra. Well, that was some type of luck. If it would have stayed an Abra, it could have been an easy win because the Abra might have stayed asleep during their attacks and thus a sitting Psyduck. Congratulations, Sabrina. Ash tells the gym leader. It was always exciting when one of your Pokemon got stronger. Sabra giggles, he was so polite. Thank you, Ashy. Sweat dropping, Ash shakes himself off. At least she didn't say, Ashy boy. Stupid Gary Oak. Jengar, mean look. Ash shouts, hopefully this plan will work. Jengar nods in understanding, he thinks he knows where Ash is going with this. Using mean look on Kadabra, Jengar is pleased when it lands successfully. Now, quick Jengar. Nightshade. Kadabra, teleport. Sabrina orders emotionlessly, but gasps in surprise when it doesn't work. What? How? Mean look is used to prevent Pokemon from leaving battle or being switched out. I figured if I used it on Kadabra it would prevent him from using teleport. Feeling her powers flare in rage, Sabrina gives this battle her full attention. Obviously this aura user was not like most rookie trainers, and because of her assumptions Kadabra was badly hurt from the direct attack. Recover. Kadabra heals himself, leaving behind no trace of the super effective attack. At least she has that move to fall back on. Jengar, don't let that trip you up, Will-O-Wisp. Kadabra, dodge it. Kadabra just barely makes it out of the way, though he could swear he could feel the heat from the attack. Now Kadabra, psychic. Dodge it. And then counter with Sucker Punch. Nimbly dodging away, Jengar appears behind Kadabra, punching the Pokemon in the side and sending him flying. Scowling when Kadabra harshly hits the wall, Sabrina again has to calm down her powers. Kadabra, recover and then use confusion. Jengar, captured by the confusion, is thrown repeatedly against the ceiling and floor, his body hitting hard each time. Hang in there Jengar, Dark Pulse. Ash shouts, his grip on Eevee tightening enough for the small silver Pokemon to wiggle from his arms and join Pikachu on his other shoulder. Gasping in pain, Jengar sends out the Dark-type attack, sighing in relief when it hits, causing the other Pokemon to release his attack. Recover. Use Double Team and follow it up with Psybeam. Jengar, Dark Pulse. Again. If we can't pick the right one then we will just have to hit them all. Jengar nods, sending out his attack. However, both attacks clash in midair, causing them to explode. Sabrina and Ash both wait for the smoke to clear. Kadabra and Jengar are both bruised and breathing heavy. Recover. Disable. Ash calls desperately. Jengar wouldn't last if Sabrina kept recovering her Pokemon. Feeling her heart race from the thrill of the battle, Sabrina can feel a grin twitching onto her lips. She feels so engaged. All their attacks keep bouncing of each other. Kadabra and Jengar are evenly matched. And Kadabra can't use recover anymore. There is a chance she could lose this. She hasn't lost to a trainer in a long time. Their battle wages on, the field slowly being destroyed from the force of their attacks. She would definitely need to repair it after this battle. Kadabra, Psybeam. Jengar, slowed from their battling, gets hit directly. If he was any other type, he would have fainted. Still, the attack sent him crashing into the ground. Get up Jengar. I have faith in you. Hearing his trainer's voice, Jengar weakly pushes himself up until he is standing. His head is spinning. He can't last another attack. Kadabra would win if he can't end this soon. You are getting too weak. We need to finish this quick. Shadow Ball now. Ash knows Jengar doesn't have the stamina and endurance to last much longer. He hopes an all-out offensive strike would be what it takes to win this. Releasing the Dark Ball of energy, Jengar scowls when Kadabra dodges. Now! Dark Pulse, and don't let up. Kadabra gasps in pain from the continuous super effective attack. He is too tired to move. With recover being disabled and teleport off the table for now, he is screwed. Finish it up now. Shadow Claw. Charging towards the weakened psychic type, Jengar lands a direct hit causing the other to faint. Sabrina stands frozen. Her Kadabra. Her strongest Pokemon. Defeated. Jengar slumps slightly in relief before regaining some of his energy and begins dancing around the field and pulling weird faces. He thought he was going to lose for sure. He was so grateful he was able to prove himself in front of Ash. Sabra feels her eyes welling up in tears, before they begin strkng down her porcelain face. Now you won't be my friend or play with me. Ash, who had frozen mid-hug with Jengar, looks at the crying little girl. Just because I won doesn't mean I won't be your friend, silly. Sniffling, Sabra eyes the other wearily. She just needs to play her cards right. Really? Yes, the petite trainer beams. Of course. Using Sabrina's powers, the small doll floats from her stunned master towards the ebony-haired aura user. And you will be Sabrina's friend too? Amber eyes glance from the little girl and gaze into the stunned ones of the Saffron gym leader. There was something about the other. Something his aura was pulling him towards. It wants them to be friends, or at least get to know each other. I would love to be friends with Sabrina. Sabrina, who has shaken off her shock, returns Kadabra to his pokeball before glaring at the petite trainer. And why would someone like you want to be friends with me? Even though her psychic powers are angry with her rudeness towards the other, Sabrina has to know. No one ever wanted to be her friend. They always wanted something from her. I don't know. Ash says honestly. I just know something is pulling me towards you. I want to get to know you. Clenching and unclenching her fists, Sabrina's blue eyes begin to fill with tears, the same way Sabra's did just moments earlier. It is just your aura that is saying that. If it wasn't for your aura you would have already gotten your badge and left ages ago. Ping his head in confusion, beautiful amber eyes gaze at the psychic user in bafflement. How did you know I can control aura? And why would it have any effect on me wanting to be your friend? Using her powers to summon Sabra back to her, the gym leader presses the small doll possessively towards her chest. Sabra was her only comfort right now. Because long ago when aura guardians and natural psychics roamed the earth, Arceus made it to where the two would always be natural allies, scared of the destruction they would cause if they were enemies. It is only that reason why you want to be my friend. Nothing else. Taking in her words, and filtering it through his lessons, Ash shakes his head. Exactly. They were natural allies. Allies? That didn't mean they had to be friends. They just had to get along well enough not to fight. I want to be your friend Sabrina because you seem lonely. I know what it feels like to be lonely. I never had any friends growing up until I met Pikachu. He was my only friend, and while I am gaining new friends and family in the form of Pokemon, I still do not have any human friends. I grew up an introvert and an outcast and now I suffer from social anxiety. But you make my aura calm. I know I can trust you. Just like you can trust me. We can be each other's first friends. What do you say? Seeing the genuine truth in Ash's eyes, and feeling his aura that projected nothing but honesty, Sabrina felt herself truly smile and be happy for her first time in a long time. I would love that. Sabra grinned sweetly. Her work in this realm is done. Using what was left of her life force, Sabra gives Sabrina one last hug before she fades away, joining the others that were waiting for her. Wait, so you mean to tell me you actually had your mom turned into a doll and sitting in your dollhouse? Ash exclaims flabbergasted. Blushing bashfully, Sabrina scratches the back of her head, a habit she is sure she got from Ash. Yes. But I released her and everybody else. No hard feelings either. Laughing uproariously, Ash hits his fist against his leg in mirth. Oh my Arceus Sabrina. You were something else. Regaining his composure, Ash reaches across the table, being mindful of the teacup in her hand, and ruffles his new friend's deep green hair. At least your mom and dad are back together and happy. Blue eyes softening, the psychic nods happily. Yes, and they want to be a family. Now that I'm not drowning in my powers anymore I can finally start being a good daughter to them. You were always the apple of their eyes. Now you can finally see it. Sabrina smiles gently at Ash. The Aura Guardian has been staying with Sabrina for almost 2 weeks now. The two were becoming something similar to brother and sister. They were able to use their powers to show each other memories from their pasts. Their Pokemon got along too. Surprisingly Kadabra, Jengar, Eevee and Pikachu were thick as thieves. The four could always be spotted playing with each other or training. Jengar even got the three to help him in his pranks on the poor unsuspecting townspeople. And while at first Ash was leery around Rick and Amanda, Sabrina's parents, he slowly started opening up to them too. That was after Rick apologized and thanked him profusely for giving him his little girl back. It is really cool how you have this Pokemon playground here in the gym. I would never have thought it. Ash comments, looking over at Charmeleon, Bulbasaur and Wartortle playing on the toys. It was nice to see them so relaxed. Sabra had insisted on it. She always said I might need it for when I make more Pokemon friends. Sabrina reminisces. Well, my Pokemon seem to love it. Ash beams. Speaking of Pokemon, where is your egg? The Saffron Gym leader questions. I left it with Nurse Joy this morning. She is giving it a full evaluation. She said I could pick it back up later tonight. The green-haired girl hummed slightly, before turning back towards Ash with her eyes gleaming. Well, while we wait to go pick it up, what do you say we practice with your aura some more? Ash groans. 2 weeks. 2 weeks he has been with Sabrina, and every day she was pushing him towards his breaking point with their training. Though he couldn't complain. He was making leaps and bounds now that he has Sabrina's help. They had even begun being able to communicate telepathically, something they were both excited about because it meant they could keep in touch even when Ash returns to his journey. They wouldn't have to wait till he finds a phone to call with. Amber Eyes watched Sabrina's gym battle with awe. Ever since all of their Pokemon began training with each other, Kadabra has really improved his speed and endurance. With Gengar being able to disable both recover and teleport, it had made the psychic type really have to think on its feet. And the way Sabrina was expertly handling a challenger's Haunter really showed that. Haunter is unable to battle, Kadabra wins. Ash calls out. Pikachu, who was sitting on his shoulder, lets out a cry of happiness before running onto the field and tackling the larger Pokemon. Rolling his eyes in perfect sync with Sabrina, Ash walks over to check over the burnt yellow Pokemon while Sabrina consults with the trainer. Stroking the light blue shell of his egg, Ash hums in delight when he feels the small push against his hand when he sends some of his aura into the egg. The egg was close to hatching. Nurse Joy said it would probably only be a few more days. Ash was excited. He couldn't wait to see the newest member of his family. Besides practicing his aura with Sabrina, and letting his Pokemon bond and have time to just have fun, Ash was waiting on the egg to hatch before he begins his journey again. He knew the unborn baby would feel most comfortable if it hatched somewhere that he, Ash, found safe. And what safer place than Sabrina's gym? It was also an added plus that the baby would have the chance to meet Sabrina. The older girl was like a sister to him after all these weeks, plus their memory sharing made it seem like they had known each other all their lives. Don't worry, little one. When you finally decide to come out, you will have so many family members willing to protect you, you will never have to worry about coming to harm. Feeling another warm pulse against his palm at those words, Ash flashes his dimples down at the egg. It was on the 3rd day of his 5th week that the egg began hatching. Sabrina, Kadabra, Ash, Pikachu, Eevee, Gengar, Charmeleon, Wartortle, and Bulbasaur were all gathered around the large egg. Come on, you are almost there. Pikachu urges the baby. Small cracks and light was shining through, leaving all the Pokemon restless and excited. Once you hatch, I will show you all sorts of cool moves and help you get super strong. Charmeleon, Wartortle admonishes. It will only still be just a hatchling. So? That doesn't mean I can't start teaching my new littlest family member early. Charmeleon states, scowling lightly at the water type. You two better stop before this turns into a fight. Our newest sibling is about to be born, they don't need to come into the world hearing you two bickering. Bulbasaur states, breaking up the fight before it could even start. Ever the peacekeeper. Eevee says, giggling. You know how these two are. They love riling each other up. Bulbasaur exclaims before shrugging. Hey now. We are not that bad. Wartortle pouts. The key word in that sentence being, that. Pikachu, who was listening in, snickers. You guys. The egg is almost done hatching. Shutting up at Kadabra's words, the group turned their attention back to the almost hatched egg. Shielding their eyes when the light got too bright to look at, the group finally got the chance to see their new member. A Dratini? Sabrina gasps. You are lucky, Ash. The 6-foot-long blue snake-like Pokemon only cutely tilts her winged head to the side. Misty Waterflower punches a smug-looking Gary Oak over the back of his head. What did I say about acting like such a stuck-up snob? Misty screeches. She had started traveling with Gary at this beginning of his journey a few months ago. The egotistical brunette had completely ruined her bike while he was training with his Squirtle, and while Misty adored water-type Pokemon, that bike was the only thing she had ever earned herself with her own money. And that this smug little brat refused to pay for it to be fixed, it irked her. Especially when he was traveling around in a sports car with a crap ton of cheerleaders. He obviously has the money to replace it, but he thought he was too good to. That was 6 months ago though. They had grown to be an amazing pair of friends. She had forced him to drop the cheerleaders and start making the journey more about his own experiences than just trying to prove he was better than others. And while Misty helped him learn to curb his egotistical tendencies, he helped her with her anger issues. The duo has really grown close. Rubbing his sore head, Gary glares at the water-type trainer. I was only congratulating Blastoise on mastering a new move. Crossing her arms over her chest, Misty huffs. Still. Rolling his eyes, Gary sticks his tongue out at the red head. You're just jealous because you can't teach that Psyduck to do anything. Why you? Misty yells, chasing a laughing Gary around their campsite. Dratini the dragon Pokemon. This Pokemon is rare and was considered to be only a myth until very recently. Level 1. Ability, Shed Skin with the Hidden Ability Marvel Scale. Moves known, Wrap, Tackle, Leer. This Pokemon has the Egg Move Extreme Speed that has not been unlocked yet. Ash listens to Dexter finish his assessment of Dratini while the Dragon-type happily munches on some freshly made Pokemon food. Surprisingly, it was not Pikachu or Eevee that instantly took a liking to the small snake-like Pokemon, it was Charmeleon. Since the hatching a few hours ago, the Fire-type was watching the baby like a Spearow. I wonder why Charmeleon took such a liking so quick to Dratini. Ash muses out loud, not expecting an answer. It's because he sees Dratini as a baby sister, we all do already. However, because of the severe nature in which he was abandoned as a Charmander, he has become overprotective of everyone he sees as family. Bulbasaur explains to his trainer. Smiling, Ash gently picks up the seed Pokemon and gently places him in his lap. Soothingly stroking the grass type under his ears and up his bulb, Bulbasaur becomes putty in Ash's hands. I just wish I could have saved him from that. I wish I could have saved all of you from that. Nuzzling his trainer's slightly calloused hand, the grass type purrs in bliss. He knows Ash. We all know. All those one-on-one counseling sessions you give us every day and then the group sessions have really showed us. Tan cheeks color slightly. I just want you all to never feel like you have to face your burdens alone. You all have me as well as each other. We are a family. Using his vine to give his trainer a loose hug, Bulbasaur cuddles deeper into his warmth. We all know. We might not have been with you as long as Pikachu, but we all know you love us just as deeply. And we love you. Quirking a smile that shows off his dimples, warm amber eyes gaze at the scene in front of them. Dratini is being watched after by an overprotective Charmeleon. Pikachu, Eevee, Gengar, and Kadabra and curled up into a mass ball taking a nap. Wartortle was floating around in the small pond Sabrina had put in just for him. If there was one thing the water type loves, it is floating on his back while napping. Feeling his heart swell at the sight, Ash continues his rhythmical strokes on Bulbasaur, chuckling softly when the grass type falls asleep too. If you follow Route 7 it will take you straight to Celadon City. Sabrina informs Ash. She already knows that he knows the way, but it makes her feel better by telling him again. Thank you, Sabrina. Throwing his arms around the taller female, Ash hugs the psychic user tightly. Don't forget to send me your thoughts whenever you want to talk. And I'll call you whenever I get to the cities. Hugging the petite male close to her body, Sabrina buries her face in his silky ebony hair. Don't forget to come visit me. You are my little brother now and that means you have to see me whenever you get the chance. Plus I want to see how strong your Pokemon get. Beaming at the girl he considers his sister, Ash waves towards their Pokemon. With the way Gengar and Kadabra are, I would be lucky to get away with a couple of days without talking to you. Laughing, Sabrina consents to that. Let me know when you get to Celadon. Knowing you, you will probably go straight to the gym so you can try to catch up on lost time. Scratching the back of his head, Ash giggles. You know me. I want to be able to challenge the league when it comes around. If there is anybody that can make it through to have the chance to battle the Elite Four and then the champion, it would be you, Ashy. Grimacing at her teasing, Ash wags his tongue. Whatever you say, Bree Bree. Quickly pivoting on his heel, Ash begins sprinting away from the gym, his Pokemon running after him. If there was one thing Sabrina could not stand, it was being called Bree Bree. Giovanni glares at the green-haired underling in front of him. He couldn't remember his name at the moment, he considers it beneath him. What do you mean all work at the tower and the surrounding area has been stopped? Kevin was sweating profusely. As the agent in charge of the operation, it was his duty to tell the boss. However, this was his first chance in the past couple of weeks because Giovanni was previously too busy to talk to him. A kid with some super strong Pokemon came. He defeated me and all of the others in the area. After that, the townspeople as well as Sabrina, the gym leader, have been making sure we can't get into the area anymore. Slamming his fist onto his mahogany desk, Giovanni growls. Sabrina is known for being aloof and never leaving her gym. Catching himself before he can shrug, Kevin begins fidgeting with the bottom of his uniform shirt. The same trainer that kicked us all out is thought to be the same one that has brought the change in her. Black eyes sneer down at the pathetic grunt. What is his name? He said his name was Ash Ketchum, sir. Flicking a piece of imaginary lint from his suit, Giovanni twists his fingers, a sign all Rocket members learnt as a dismissal. A kid that could not only beat his grunts, but also get Sabrina out of that thick shell of hers? He would have to keep an eye out for this Ash Ketchum. And if he continued to get in his way? Well, Mutwo has been acting bored lately. Walking through the streets of Celadon City with Pikachu on his left shoulder, Dratini wrapped around his neck, Eevee in his arms and Charmeleon walking by his side, the group made for an interesting sight. This is a grass-type gym, so I am going to use you Charmeleon. You haven't battled in a gym yet, do you think you're up for it? I might not have battled in a gym yet, but I have battled many other opponents. Do not worry Ash, this gym will be an easy win for us. Charmeleon replies, flicking his tail and wiggling his claws at his trainer. Dratini giggles at her big brother. Brother Char is silly. Oh, I am silly now, am I? I'll just have to show you how tough I can be then. Charmeleon boasts, taking a page from Jengar's books and flexing his arms at the dragon type. This only causes Dratini to giggle more, something Charmeleon was going for. Grinning at the display, Eevee shares a look with Pikachu. While they shared an NTMT connection with all of their teammates, the two have known each other the longest. Sliding his tanned hand down Dratini's long body, Ash relishes in these moments. If only Bulbasaur, Jengar and his perpetually lazy Wartortle were out with them, then they would be walking through Celadon like a family. Speaking of family, he needs to call his mom, Professor Oak and Sabrina. Hey, do you smell that? Eevee questions, wiggling from his spot in Ash's arms and jumping to sit on top of his head. His small black nose is pointed to the air and he is breathing in deeply. Charmeleon too sniffs the air. It smells like flowers? Using his tiny paws to grip onto his trainer tightly, Pikachu leans his body forward. It's perfume. Sporadically tightening and untightening around Ash's neck, Dratini hisses in excitement. Oh Ashy, can we go, please? I want to see it. It smells so good. Please, please, please. Dratini begs, her giant doe-like eyes crumping any resistance Ash would have had. While Delia raised Ash to not care what was boys and girls, Delia was never a big fan of perfume. She thought it was gaudy, expensive, and a waste of money. She always preferred the natural scent that came from good hygiene. It was something she instilled in Ash also, one of the reasons she reminded him to change his underwear so often. I guess so. If you really want to go, was the stuttered and hesitant reply. Yay! Lead the way Brother Char. Dratini shouts, bouncing happily. Beaming at his little sister, Charmeleon follows his nose towards the smell. Whatever you do Ash, do not insult the perfume. I know how much you dislike it, but Erica is easily offended. She is known to turn trainers away if they insult her products. Sabrina's cool and calm voice echoes through Ash's mind. It is a good thing she sent her thoughts, because Ash was about to have to force his Pokémon to leave. Even Pikachu, the traitor, was entranced with the perfume. He thought Mom had convinced the electric mouse that perfume was a rip-off too. One of the girls, a blonde wearing a tight purple skirt with a white peasant-type shirt, was gushing over Dratini, trying to find scents that she thought would match the dragon type. A girl with curly purple hair was stroking Eevee's fur, exclaiming over the unique coloring and how shiny and healthy it looks. Pikachu and Charmeleon were busy being fawned by a curvy brunette with her hair pulled up into two ponytails. It was all getting to be too much for Ash. The amount of people and their overt displays to his Pokémon was causing the Aura user to begin hyperventilating. The abundance of smells wasn't helping either. It was making him feel sick. Liquid filling the tear ducts of his large amber eyes, Ash crosses his arms and begins scratching at the skin there. Ash! Listen to the sound of my voice. You can hear me, can't you? Jerking his head in a swift nod, Ash scratches at his arm harder. Concentrate on me Ash. Close your eyes. There. Good boy. Now focus on your breathing. Have it match mine? Good. It is just me and you Ashy. It is just us. You're doing so good. Using the link to send calming emotions through their bond towards the Aura user, Sabrina feels herself relax. Ash was no longer hyperventilating, however from what she could tell, he had managed to make himself bleed in his attack. Long yellow and black ears twitch. Pikachu turns from where a girl is explaining a product to him and Charmeleon, and his black eyes begin looking over the store. There is tall shelves lined with expensive-looking bottles holding numerous perfumes. Pikachu likes the ones that remind him of the gardens from his home before he was kicked out for being too weak. Wide sweeping glass windows allow the sun in, causing anything glass to sparkle like crystals. The other team members were being chatted with by other sales girls. But where was Ash? Attempting to sniff the air, but not being able to smell anything over the fumes from the perfume, Pikachu begins to trot around the store. Finally turning around another shelf, the electric mouse finds his best friend curled into a fetal position. His left arm was bleeding from where he had been scratching at it, it looks red and raw. He is still shaking slightly and he has tear tracks down his face. Instantly Pikachu felt like a mook after being left out in the sun too long. He knew Ash has social anxiety and was prone to attacks when around a group of people. The workers, plus the customers, must have been too much for Ash to handle at once. Pikachu knew Ash was hesitant about coming into the store, something Pikachu at the moment only thought was because Delia taught them perfume was pointless. But now Pikachu knew the real reason, knew it like a train hitting him in the face. Ash was scared of being around so many people, but because Dratini was only still a baby, he wanted to give the small snake-like Pokemon a good memory. Frowning, Pikachu walks towards his trainer, using his furry red cheek to nuzzle his best friend. Smiling when Ash lifts his head from his arms completely and looks at him, Pikachu lets out a happy squeal. My Pikapi! Jumping onto Ash's denim-clad lap, Pikachu grips Ash's shirt and cuddles his body into the human's, offering his body heat and comfort. I'm sorry Pikapi. I was so excited about visiting I completely forgot about what it can do to you. Cuddling the rodent Pokemon class to him, Ash relishes in the soft fur of his starter. It's okay buddy. I didn't want to make it seem like a big deal. I thought standing in this corner away from everyone would help, but you saw how much good that did me. Plus I had Sabrina to help me through the worst of it. See, presenting his arm to Pikachu, Ash proudly points to the bleeding mark. It is only slightly bleeding. A lot better than that time I got lost in the mall and when you and Mom finally found me my whole arm was bleeding and not just a small little scratch. Sighing at the careless lack towards his own well-being, but knowing Ash always put off his own health, Pikachu nods his head slightly. Okay Pikapi. But I want you to wait outside. I'll gather the others and then we can head towards the gym. Beaming at Pikachu, Ash stands up and makes his way towards the entrance. He could always count on his friends. Standing in front of the gym, Ash admires the roof. It is shaped like a Vileplume. The painting and artwork was very well done. A tan hand rests gently on top of Charmeleon's head. Are you ready for this, buddy? Charmeleon's chocolate brown eyes glint in determination. Pikachu had explained what happened in the shop to them, and now he was even more determined to win this for his trainer. Of course Ash. Let's go. Yeah. Charmeleon gets the chance to fry up some grass types. I bet they are nowhere near as strong as Bulbasaur. Eevee screeches. He loves when his team wins. And while they have lost a lot to some really tough trainers, they always came through when it mattered most. Rolling his eyes in fond amusement, Ash steps his way through the sliding glass doors and into what can only be explained as a jungle. Are you sure this is the gym, Ashy? Dratini questions her father. This didn't look anything like Auntie Bribri's gym. Rubbing her head, the tan trainer glances around, but it was Pikachu who answered. Yes Dratini. Most gyms reflect what type the leader is. Because Erica is a grass-type trainer, it is only natural that her gym would reflect that. Nodding at the wise words, Dratini's wide blue eyes glance around from her spot around Ash's neck. But I don't see anybody. They're probably just running scared because they know our awesome brother Charmeleon is going to totally wipe the floor with them. Sweat dropping slightly at the small fox, Charmeleon blushes. It was strange still knowing that his teammates actively worked to make each other feel more confident. Even that annoying Jengar when he wasn't pulling pranks. Hey! Who are you? A female voice calls from behind them. Turning around, Ash and his team come face to face with a blue-haired female wearing tan shorts and a green shirt. Just who are you? She questions again. Hi, my name is Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town. I came to challenge the gym leader to a Pokemon battle so I could have the chance to win the Rainbow Badge. Ash customarily introduces himself. Oh, the Blueonette breathes in relief. I thought you could be another thief. Thief? The brown-eyed girl waves her hand dismissively. Yeah, we had a couple of crooks in here a few weeks ago trying to steal my secret recipe for my perfume. Luckily a couple of trainers were here to help out. Anyways, my name is Erica and I am the gym leader. Turning and walking away, Erica beckons the young trainer to follow her. It will be a 3-on-3 battle. Sound good? Nodding his head in determination, Ash agrees. Good, then, throwing open another set of doors and allowing the beautiful view of her battling arena, Erica turns and beams at Ash. Let the battle begin. Wow, bummer. Erica pouts, handing over her badge towards the trainer. His Charmeleon really tore through her Pokemon. Even Gloom didn't stand a chance. You were a really great battler. It is obvious you trained your Pokemon well. Most fire types can't stand the smell of Gloom spores, but yours just burned right through them. Ash scratches the back of his head in embarrassment. I spent a while teaching Charmeleon. I have a Bulbasaur, and while not the same as Gloom, he can still do some of the same attacks. Ah, Erica hums. That makes sense. And it is very smart. You said that was your 5th badge, right? I suggest heading to the Fuchsia Gym next. They specialize in poison types. And the gym leader there is super strong. Thanks for the advice, Erica. Ash flashes her his dimples, before waving goodbye and making his way towards the Pokemon Center. Erica's eyes travel after him. She had got the phone call telling her to go harder on this trainer, because he actually trains his Pokemon unlike most new trainers who rely on sheer force and like. Ash Ketchum had the perfect strategy to each attack she had and knew how to execute new defensive moves on the spot. She had used her more powerful Pokemon, thinking the trainer wouldn't stand a chance, but he managed to prove her wrong. She needed to give Koga a call and warn him. He was much like her, cocky and sure that he would win. He needed to know to bring his A game. Because that Ash Ketchum was a champion in the making.
Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification. So when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.